All right, ping pong. Good Friday evening, everybody. Silly thing. I feel like every time I do this, I'm changing my intro every time. But alas, this is kind of how it's like when you're sort of a hobbyist streamer with very fickle approaches towards streaming. Anyways, I hope you had a wonderful week behind you and a wonderful weekend planned for yourself. It's another night with Geeks at Sea, and tonight joining me here is Jeremy. Hi, say hi to everybody, Jeremy.
Hello everyone.
All right.
Good evening.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi. How's your evening, Jeremy, so far?
Okay. After a whole week of work. Okay lah, but today is quite okay. Not that tired.
That sounds great.
Good.
That sounds great. Anyways, okay, so yeah, Jeremy, for those who don't know Jeremy is the co-founder of Imba Interactive, basically a massive sound guy, and also runs, I want to say, a geek blog on the side. Would that be a right way of like describing it?
Blog is a bit too strong of a word. I tried to blog a couple of years back, but no, couldn't keep up with that. Now it's more just an IG page than anything.
So it's the place where you throw your wonderful geeky pictures and shit like that, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's to it started off as an excuse to get gear and toys. Hey, I'm running a thing. Yeah, at Bottomless Geek. Yeah, if anybody is interested. But yeah, I mean nowadays it's just stuff that I get plus toy photography and things like that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Anyways, but yes. So for those who don't know, and for those who are joining us for the first time, my name is Jared. I am your host, and basically the guy who is usually on this channel. I am a game designer by profession, and on the side, formerly I'm also organizer for Comic Fiesta. So been around in the scene for a while. And hey, what this segment that you're seeing right now is called Geeks at Sea, and what we do is we reminisce, so to speak, about the industry and the environment that we are in, which is, once again, the creative and fun pop culture aspects of stuff in Southeast Asia. I am losing this intro. I need to revise this.
All good. Sounds good from here.
But yes. So yeah. Oh god, I really need to revise this intro. But anyways, so yes, Jeremy will be joining me here today, and we'll be talking a lot about our history and our shared experiences within Southeast Asia. But before we begin, I need to put out our standard 3 big disclaimers, because hey, this is the internet. We should be, setting expectations right. The first standard disclaimer: always remember that we're going to be telling a lot of our personal stories. All these stories are our personal views and ours alone, meaning that they might not be reflective of the entire whole. If I see an old lady getting run by a car, I do not know, perhaps, that she might have killed the driver's grandson or something, and it could be an act of vengeance. So one perspective, keep that in mind, right? So that's number one. Number two, our memories are not flawless. We are going to be, unreliable narrators of our own lives, and it will always be tinged with our own biases, so take everything we say with a huge pinch of salt. And then finally, number three, you're going to hear about us talking a little bit about organizations that we're a part of or we might have contributed to. Recognize that when you're part of an organization, whatever opinions we have, it may not be reflective of the opinion of the organization by and large. So what that means is that also recognize that whatever we say here is not reflective of, it's not representative of the organizations by themselves, right? So 3 big things, keep that in mind as we tell our stories today.
Yep. Right. We represent ourselves and only ourselves.
Correct. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, all said and done. Jeremy, let's start with the very beginning of it all. It's a standard question that I threw for all of my guests. What is the first geekdom that you can remember, first geeky thing that you really got into, and when was that the case? You still remember?
Okay. Yeah, I thought about that for a bit because I know we were supposed to be on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I know, right?
But I felt yeah, and yeah, I am. So thank you very much. Yeah, I think my first memory is actually playing console games in my cousin's place during
what
like Chinese
console?
New Year.
We have to ask this one. What console?
Mega Drive 2.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Mega Drive 2, Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat.
Nice.
And I was like, I think primary school, like lower primary, or yeah, that was like the beginning.
Shit.
You know. Yeah. So
Like,
that was probably my, yeah.
You really get into it? Like, was it something like you're like, oh yeah, I need to totally like go and visit and shit just to play and stuff?
Yeah, I was quite close to that cousin, you know, and you know, back in the day, back on mobile games, right? Yeah, no such thing. So it's something we don't get anymore. Like every Chinese New Year, I look forward to gather to, you know, to play games in person.
Nice.
Yeah. That's a really a very fond memory. Yeah, and then we will try to, I mean, we're kids after all, so we try to clear to the final boss, which is Bison or something, until our thumbs had blisters. You know, yeah, it's that kind of thing. Yeah, it's like, you know, yeah. Hard mode. Yeah, games were really hard back then, relatively speaking. Right, hard.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've ever finished Street Fighter myself. I've never been that much of a hardcore gamer myself. The Hadouken wall was as far as I got to like really learning how to play versus games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm also not very. I mean, even now, I don't. I'm not anything near competition level. I have friends who are. I think we have common friends who are, you know, very good at that. But myself, I'm also just in it for the fun. Yeah, like, hey, nice animation and the sounds, obviously, for me. Like, that's what I remember the most. Yeah. So, yeah. Still playing Street Fighter, but very casual. Yeah.
What came next for you? Like, was it did you like did you pursue like this interest in games yourself? Because obviously it seemed to have like a huge like there was a lot of excitement for you in your childhood because of this like console gaming and stuff like that, right? Like, so did you pursue it? Did you like, oh hey, look for other opportunities to play and stuff, like maybe perhaps like even go to arcades and stuff like that? Do you ever like do stuff like that?
Oh yeah, that's an interesting question. So this kind of links to when I was I'm trying to get my age right. So last time our parents sent us for music class, right?
Okay, well, yours might have like mine sent mine for like I think 3 months, and then after that they dropped me because I was so lazy to practice.
Right. I don't think I practice much. So, but my first instrument actually, and some people even who know me might not know, it was violin, actually. Because my sister went for piano classes, and then my elder sister, and then the whole thing about like, oh, you know, siblings, one plays piano, so the other must play violin, right? I don't know what this thing was in the like 80s and 90s.
I feel like this is a very Singapore thing.
Yeah, I know. So how was I know I definitely stopped at around started around 7, I think, age 7 or 8, you know. And then I remember the violin class was at Golden Mile Complex.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, and surprise, the level 1 is a video games arcade. And my class is at level 2. So my like I've apologized to my dad in my adulthood that I'm sorry, you know, that every time you drop me 15 minutes early, I will go and play the arcade for half an hour and show up 15 minutes late for the violin class. So this is what happens. Yeah. So yeah.
I feel like it's worth commending that at least you confessed to your father.
Later in life. Yeah. Not so brave when I was a kid.
Better late than never, trust me.
Yeah, right. So like yeah. So I don't know, it's kind of funny how all these kind of events lead up to where I am now. You know, I'm doing sounds and music for games, right? Yeah. So you know, in my childhood, there's this kind of funny where these two meet in some sense. Yeah. I mean, eventually I quit violin. You know, and then on the music side of things, I joined like concert band in secondary school, where I became a percussionist and a drummer. So that's what I still do nowadays. Yeah. I mean,
okay. So I'm not very familiar with like performance, like audio performances and stuff like that. Like, so what is the difference between a percussionist and a drummer? Like, is one a subset of the other, or is it like, is there actually like, oh no, a drummer is a completely separate thing from a percussionist?
I mean, gonna sound quite duh, but I'll elaborate. Like a drummer normally refers to someone who just plays drums. So normally drums means a drum set.
Right.
Usually or like a military drama.
Right. Those kind of like
Yeah.
this like
Literally
soldier
something
boy,
round
like,
with,
yeah.
with skins. Yeah. So that's drums. Technical definition, right?
Right.
Percussionists can be anything. Normally you see in big ensembles where you have things like anything from xylophone,
Oh.
glockenspiel,
Okay.
chimes. Those are the
I'm
melodic percussion instruments.
I should probably at this point like highlight, right, like, because you're an audio guy, I really shouldn't be surprised that you said glockenspiel, but like I think most people have no idea what that is.
Yep.
How would
It's
how would you describe a glockenspiel for those who have never seen one?
right. So I just saw this IG video just earlier today. So I just in time to explain this. Xylo is in some language means wood.
Right.
So xylophone is bars made of wood. So glockenspiel, I think it's in German or something. It means
It is
bells,
German.
chimes, or something,
Right.
which is metal bars. Yeah. So if it's
Oh.
metallic bars is closer to something like a glockenspiel, and then wooden bars is xylophone or
But that's
marimba.
interesting because like, okay, so I don't know about you, but when I grew up, like my parents would buy me like xylophones, like toy xylophones and stuff like that, right? Like all of them were
It's
made
not
out of
metal,
metal.
right?
All of them were made out of metal.
Correct. That's exactly the IG video that the musician mom was making.
Right.
So it's like, hey, it's metal. Actually, technically, it's glockenspiel. Most people don't care, but I do that kind of thing. So there you go.
I
Yep.
feel like I've been lied to my whole life.
No, why didn't my mom say it's a glockenspiel? But no, nobody. Yeah, and even on the packaging just says xylophone, just
Right.
because, because in kids' books, which I realize nowadays, X is either X-ray or xylophone.
Right.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Then your A to Z.
Right,
Yeah.
and it's so funny because I can't remember which. I can't remember which comedian I was watching. I think it was Trevor Noah and stuff. I'm not 100% certain, so I might be misattributing this joke to someone. But like they were making some joke about how like two kids were like, oh yeah, we chose our careers based on like ABCs and stuff like that, and our dad was really into axes. What do you do? So like the question then came back, it's like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm an X-ray technician. My sister's a xylophone player.
Exactly right.
It's like the only two X words that we learned
What
as
else?
a kid, right?
Right.
It's so silly.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing was always that like the only other X word that came to mind, like really even today, the immediate one, right? If you ask me, like, you come up to me out of the blue and ask me, give me 3 words that start with X. Like literally in my head is X-ray, xylophone. What's your third one? What was your third one be?
Wow. Is there a plant part called psyllium or something?
I think so, and you're probably better than me.
I have no idea.
Because my third one would be xenophobia.
Right.
And I'm not
Okay.
proud of myself
That's a
for
very
that.
big word. Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah. I just keep thinking of Xavier, but that's a proper noun, so not.
Yeah, that's a proper name, unfortunately. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Anyway, so coming back. Truancy in arcades aside, like, truancy in arcades. This was like what, back in 1990s? Is it like the late 1990s?
Yeah, mid 90s I would say.
Mid 90s.
Yeah, primary school. Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask because I'm Asian. I've always been very curious. How was the arcade culture here in Singapore during the 90s? Actually, was it like really bustling? Is it like you can find it everywhere, or
yeah?
How was it like for you?
Yeah, it was quite common back then, up till about until I was 17, 18, I think. Yeah, so it was doing really great for over a decade, or a couple of decades, I'm sure. It's just that I was still very young then. Yeah, but then it started disappearing in like the 2000s, right? Yeah. So yeah, then the moment mobile games came in, then
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, at least for KL, I felt like you in many ways. Like I think uh home gaming took over the place for arcades, especially for those who can afford it. But you would see arcades, at least in KL, in places where home gaming wasn't as prevalent. So stuff like, for example, if you can see in some place in in the Golden Triangle, if you're familiar where it is, like Vijay Times Square, Sungai Wang Plaza, and all that places. Large part because like the surrounding areas, places like Cheras and all that, a lot of them didn't really have they had a lot of people who come into the city to go to school, and then they go there to hang out and stuff like that, and then they'll just go to arcades, hang out a little bit more, and then before they go back. So that's usually like how some of the KL kids used to be. I'm not a KL kid, by the way, in case anyone's wondering. So this is anecdotal. But yeah, so arcades had their place by doing that. But in the early 2000s, when I was in college, timing myself a little bit here, so aging myself a little bit here, I actually started going to arcades a little bit more because at that time I was like, I had a little bit of extra pocket money, and then I got really into DDR before, and I started going to KL because they had Easy to Dancer. That was my favorite dance machine.
Wow. Yep.
Did you ever get into that shit?
No.
What were you playing in the arcades? What were you playing in the arcades?
Music games. There was all the B-Many stuff, right? Like Guitar Freak. And then there's the drum version, Drum Freak. I can't remember. Yeah, long time already. Yeah. Actually, recently I was in Japan for holiday. I went to one of the arcades. They're like, "Hey, drum machine, got to play again." Yeah. But in Singapore, long time since I encountered one. Actually, I'm sure they are around. No longer really. I mean, there's a little bit of revival recently. Right. Yeah, but not as much like video games really in these arcades, right? Nowadays more of those like ticket games, which actually was those carnival games that were active when I was like a really small kid, right? Yeah, like and then now it suddenly returned. Yep. Yeah, just now you mentioned like people in KL or went to some place to hang out. Was that arcades or are those like shops that had like consoles?
The shops in consoles one, no, it's an actual arcade. Like there were people who would actually go to arcades. But most of the time it was like shopping malls and shopping malls. A lot. There are a number of people who came to the on the show, right? They went to comic rental shops. If you're familiar with those.
Yep.
So I've also personally been a fan of college coffee shops. Technically they're college cafes, but they're not like the cafes that you would see today. College cafes were like very this kind of dim, poorly lit, poorly furnished places.
Different from land shops.
Yeah, they're very, very different from land shops. Like land shops, we had that too as well. My hometown is literally the center of land shops in Malaysia actually. Back at the time.
Yep.
But yeah, no, they were like you can. So imagine if you have this kind of like, so if you try to imagine Taiwanese drama shows, right, where they had the Taiwanese students go to like coffee shops where they will hang out with like the really dark coffee shops where they hang out with like their friends, and that it's a cheap ass place and stuff like that. Yeah, those kind of places like were stuff. There are a few places in like that in KL which I kind of frequented. They sound more dodgy than they actually are. I just want to flag out, like they sound more dodgy than they actually are. As I said, like poorly lit, not particularly like like atasan and all that kind of stuff, but they were very student friendly. And what I mean by that is like, oh yeah, you can get a reasonable meal for like less than, like it's about 5 ringgit.
Is it like instant noodles or?
No, like they would have like like buttermilk chicken.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like we would be firing. Granted, this is like almost 20 years ago, but once again, aging myself a bit.
Right.
It's like, granted, this is almost 20 years ago, but it's still like £5 for like something like that for like buttermilk chicken, rice, and stuff like that, which is pretty decent.
Yeah.
So very targeted towards
Wow.
students. Very targeted towards students.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you
Sounds
have very
pretty
similar ones for like in Singapore?
Yeah, I think even now there is, but last time there was definitely more common. Like you mentioned, like comic rental. Then there'll be some arcade machines. I mean, it's a bit of a blur. I'm not sure. Normally they come with also some areas where people can play console games. I can't remember.
So funny thing
or
is
maybe
that,
that's a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But I think that practice didn't really catch on in KL as much. I've known some people
Ooh.
that do it. I've seen some shops that do it, but like it's not as prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
Usually there's more people who are like, game shops have their own thing going, but like they don't really charge, like, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yep.
there are arcades that do it separately and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Mm.
How was
Yep,
it for you though? Like from the violining, like playing truant to go to arcade kind of situation, like when you
Yeah.
went into your teenage years and all that stuff, was it something that you continued? Do you continue going to the arcade? How was that journey for you?
Yeah, I think I did. I'm trying to think back to the arcade I frequented. Yeah, but yeah, I definitely did. And then when I was in secondary school, there are friends, good friends that we hang out after school also. Oh, I wanted to ask you, is it also like that in Malaysia? You can't wear uniform into arcades, right?
Okay, that's a very funny question. I don't know what the proper legality of it is. So first and foremost, there were gambling joints near my place. Like they were gambling joints. They were dressed up as LAN shops near my place. Those, if you get caught especially if you get caught in uniform, you're straight arrested, no questions asked. Right? So just KIV that. I need to get that out of the way. The LAN shops were eventually required by law to not serve anyone in uniform, because a lot of kids were playing truant in LAN shops. That's at least true in KL, in Subang, where I grew up.
Okay.
I don't know about the arcades. I really don't know whether there was any legal limitation for you to go into an arcade in uniform. I don't think so. And I say that because I went to KL a couple of times. By that time I was in college, so I didn't have a uniform. But I've definitely seen kids in uniforms in the arcade in KL. Yeah, so I guess the law didn't really hit like that same way. In Singapore, like was there such a law in Singapore?
Yeah, same. So like you can't. There were signs on every arcade. Yeah, that you would not be allowed to enter if you are in school uniform. LAN shop is the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So sometimes there are like T-shirts. I remember that they'll hand out, so you can just wear and go.
Oh God.
It's quite stupid. Yeah, but of course later they got a bit strict. I think people just like actually got changed lah. Yeah, like they have to change, and then it's suddenly if you don't wear uniform, you're not a student anymore. So
yeah, like a lot of these kind of laws don't really work because of these kind of situations. I was always particularly against the over regulation of like LAN shops in Subang, because I grew up with it. And a lot of it was like, at least from what I've heard because my dad was really into like the local administration stuff and everything else. The local council was under a lot of pressure to sort of police LAN shops, because they like there were so many students who were just like playing truant there, and a lot of these were like coming from parents who cannot control their kids. Yeah. So it's a lot of cases where, at least according to what my dad presented it to me, was like parents whose kids were not very cooperative and stuff like that, and then they would play truant at like LAN shops, and they just wanted the LAN shops gone as a result. You know, it's the kind of thing where they feel like, oh yeah, you are luring my kids out of school, you know, and stuff like that.
Right.
And like anyone with two brain cells will automatically be able to go like, it's not a lunch shop's problem.
Yeah.
Your kids don't want to be in school. If you remove the lunch shops,
lor.
they just will find something else to get away. You know, something else to do. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, this one is kind of like the whole topic of how, no video games or violence in video games, right? That, or like people don't know how to deal with the big wave of that video games back then. Like, it's new and they just blame the the businesses, the media, the medium itself, that kind of thing.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean.
Anyway, so for you, so what I'm hearing here is that you did have a lot of influence during your teenage years, especially from arcade, from your time playing with a band. How was your experience with the band? Because I'm assuming that sort of nurtured your interest in music. Am I wrong, or is to assume that?
No, not wrong. So during secondary school that's where I really got into music. Yeah. The band room is my like second home kind of place. Yeah. I can't remember why lah. Just really into it lah. Yeah.
It just sparked, is it for you? Like it just clicked, kind of thing, is it?
Maybe it's like after 5 years of learning violin, I'm like, I don't like this instrument, or I'm not good at it. And then like, I got into the percussion section. That's cool. You know, all these things that you can, drums are like just like easy to pick up, right? Well, of course it's hard to master, whatever. It's one of those instruments that you tap, there's a sound, instant gratification. Kind of like video games, maybe, I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, it's just like, I think I could get good at this. So it became something that I really zoned into in secondary school. Yeah. So I just kept playing drums all the way until through school. But do you want me to?
Yes, please.
Talk about the
I'm very curious.
Right. So after secondary school, then junior college. What's the equivalent of junior college in Malaysia? Is it the same?
So we do have college, but like okay.
Pre-U or whatever. I don't know.
Right. So I feel like this is the part that gets very interesting, because I feel like I've never actually had a chance to talk to a lot of people about this. So great that you're bringing up, because I'm curious about it too. For those who are, this is to be fair, a little off tangent from what this segment is supposed to be like, more sound centric and stuff like that, right? But this is talking about like comparative differences between the Singaporean education system and the Malaysian education system. So I would try my best to timestamp this one. So like, if you're watching this on VOD and you don't want, you can just skip ahead, right?
Right.
So yeah, hopefully I remember to do this, because I never do. The Malaysian SPM is the O-level equivalent. Right? I feel like that is a great benchmark to just draw the line first. After you're done with your SPM, Malaysians are given a choice. You can go into the Malaysian system and get your STPM, which is the A-level equivalent, the Malaysian A-level equivalent.
Okay, so that's JC lah.
In Malaysia, it's called Form 6.
Is that a word or an abbreviation or?
No. It's literally called Form 6, because what happens is in Malaysia, right? Your secondary school is Form 1, 2, 3. Then you get an exam called a PMR, which is sort of like your placement exam, so to speak. It basically determines whether you should go into science stream, art stream, or whatever stream that you want to go. Usually, if you score well, you can choose whatever stream you want. If you don't score well, they will usually recommend you to go into art stream, because PMR tends to not really have art stream subjects. So if you don't do well, it usually indicates that you're not going to be doing well in science stream related subjects. So they're like, you probably shouldn't go into science stream. That kind of thing. Some people still insist on it. They can still do it. Most of them don't do very well as a result, because it's pretty indicative, right, of the whole thing. So that's Form 1, 2, 3. Then once you go into science stream, then it's Form 4 and 5. So you got 2 years, Form 4 and 5. Then after that, like Form 4, and once you finish your Form 5, you take your SPM, and that's where your O levels is. So that's the equivalent in Malaysia. Then after that,
Right.
you have STPM. STPM is 1.5, 2 years, I can't remember. But yeah, so that is like, which is why they call it Form 6. Yeah. Then there's Form 6 Year 1, Form 6 Year 2, kind of thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I got it now. Yep.
So how is it like in Singapore?
Okay. So O levels is either 4 years or 5 years. Yeah. The 4 years is the express stream.
So basically, like
Yeah.
after primary school, you immediately in secondary school is 4 or 5 years to prepare for O levels.
Yes.
So it's just one continuous line like that lah.
I mean, any people, I'm just speaking of my own experience, and this was way back when I think so. After PSLE, which is primary school leaving exam, all the kids at age 12, and then 13 onwards they go to
So that's what
you know
PSLE stands for.
primary school leaving examination. I think very straightforward.
Yeah, I like it. I approve.
Yeah. And so then with your whatever points, I think it's upon 300, you get to choose whether you get into sort of express or normal stream. So normal stream is 5 years lah, which is the normal track. Then somehow if they feel like you are better in your academics, which is kind of sounds silly now if you think about it. At age 12, you judge somebody for their 16, 17-year-old performance. But anyway, express track is 4 years, but in the end, you still get O level. It's the same thing. Yeah. And then by the end of that, you would be either 16 or 17. Yeah. Then you have a choice of whether you go to junior college, JC, which is a 2-year A level thing, or you would get more like vocational training skills at polytechnic. Not vocational but a diploma a diploma at polytechnic. Which is normally a 3-year course. And then I think there's another layer for anyone who's like struggling with O levels. There's N level, I think.
Okay.
Which I forgot what it stands for. Maybe it's called normal.
I've heard of N level, but I've never.
N stands for, I forgot already.
Yeah, I've never contextualized it. Yeah.
Correct. Anyway, N level is also 5 years, but it's a different cert. Then from there you can go like vocational school, which is ITE. Yeah. So that was how Singapore system was like. I don't know now lah.
Oh, okay. So
to put in context for the listeners, I went to secondary school in year 1999. So that's the system then. I don't know.
I think mine was 98 or 99.
Yeah, around there. So things have changed.
It's interesting because Malaysia has a version of that express thing, but it's a little different. And they've since, to my knowledge, sort of rescinded it already. Like they realized that it's actually bad for the students, and it's partially because of how they do it also as well. Because yours, you in your case, you did it when you're 13, right?
Secondary school?
Yeah. So you do it when you're entering secondary school, right? Like it's part of your basically what you have is the your PSLE, right?
PSLE.
So the Malaysian equivalent to a PSLE is the UPSR.
Sounds so cool. I don't know.
Because it sounds like the USSR kind of thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right. So it's ujian. Actually, funnily enough, I actually think it's actually just PSLE in Malay.
Okay.
I'm not 100% certain, but I feel like it might be. I need to double check. It's ujian penilaian, which is assessment. Ujian penilaian. Ujian penilaian sekolah rendah, which is it's not PSLE Malay. It's basically assessment test for primary schools. It's a primary school assessment test. That's the proper way of translating it.
Okay.
So that's like taken when you're 12 years old, which is normally like you standard 6 lah. But at one time, there was a test you can take, which you can opt into, mind you. But most of us by default you just opt in already on, which is something that you take in when you're in standard 3. Mind you, standard 3, right, basically mean that you go into primary school is 7, 8, and then 9. So you take this when you're 9 years old.
Primary 3. Yeah.
So you're 9 years old. If you score well enough, they allow you to skip a year, meaning that instead of going to standard 4, you immediately go to standard 5, and then you go to take standard 6, and then you take your UPSR when you're 11, even in effect.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. So keep in mind, like, so basically in Singapore they shorten the year towards the teenage time. In Malaysia, right, they shorten the year in the primary school time. They've since rescinded it because they realized that it's actually bad for the development of children. Because they realized that they realized that by taking you out of the primary school system like that, right, and forcing you to interact with kids who are older, especially, right, a lot of those kids, not saying all, a lot of those kids, right, ended up with more social problems than their predecessors, their peers lah. It's not just that you're effectively having to interact with kids who were 1 year more mature than you. Some can adapt, but there was also a lot that cannot. So they found out that there is risks and damage involved, and then basically they rescinded the program.
Right.
Unfortunately, the damage is done lah. So to those kids, well, can't do anything about it lah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it is something that they found out lah, which is interesting in its own way. Yeah. So I also didn't know that. Yeah. So I also didn't know Singapore had the whole like advancement kind of thing.
Yeah, but Singapore one was at the secondary school stage.
Yeah. Correct. Which for what it's worth, they probably reduced any potential impact, but I don't think the impact is zero also.
Yeah.
Because those are very
I can't remember.
years.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, lor. And yeah, I can't remember at 14. Yeah, you remember you mentioned the art stream, science stream thing. Yeah, that happens at secondary 2, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, okay. So that's how it goes for you guys.
Yeah. Then Sec 3 and Sec 4 or Sec 5 if you're in normal stream. Then those are your science or art. Yeah.
I've known people who have like done both and all that kind of stuff, and it's one of those kind of things where at least in Malaysia, you would often you see a lot of parents pushing you to science stream. Some part of it is because like, hey, they want you to be a doctor kind of thing, right? The other side of it is because there's a lot of at least thinking where the belief is like, oh, if you can do well in if you can do well in science stream, it's easy to make a shift to art stream if you want to. Like if you later decide to go into art stream, then it's pretty easy, because the prevailing thinking was that like science stream is harder lah. But I like speaking for myself and looking back like 20 years kind of thing, I personally have come to believe that it really is about like what you find harder, because asking me to memorize a history book is harder for me. Trying to explain math or physics is easier for me. Yeah.
Right. So were you a science stream student?
Yeah, I'm a science stream student. Yeah. I'm a very lazy science stream student, mind you.
Speaking of that, my O levels I almost flunked. Yeah. I spent too much time in the band.
Really?
Yeah, and probably playing games. Yeah. So
great segue, by the way. Great segue.
Yes. I know at some point we have to bring it back. So I mean, I've never told you these stories, but yeah, I was not a good student, man. In secondary school. Yeah. Somehow primary school. Yeah, my grades trajectory from primary 1 all the way to Sec 4 is like, it just goes like that. You can see my report cards. Do they still have report cards? But anyway, report cards, it's like my ranking, they'll rank you in the past. I don't think they do that anymore, right? But
I actually really
in
don't know.
Singapore,
Oh no, so in my school they used to do it. They would have your scores, right, ranked against your peers for the entire like formula. We call it formula because it's the whole year, right? This is gonna make me sound like an ass. But I am actually not I don't want to say that I'm not a great student, because if I say this, then you like how the results are gonna turn out, then you're gonna think like I'm some kind of asshole or some shit. But like I don't consider myself a great student. I as I said, I am lazy, you know. But the fact is, there are some things that just come very intuitively to me. Like as I said, it's like physics and stuff like that. My score, right? I was in the first class, meaning it's like really the top class of the school. And I want to put a massive asterisk on again. My school is not like the top school in the district kind of thing. Like it's actually pretty low. Setting expectations. I'm the third from the back in
my class.
In my class. Yeah.
Okay.
But in the year ranking, right? I'm actually I'm looking at the year ranking, right? And I look at the score and everything else, right? If I went to the second class, meaning that the class behind mine, right, I would be third from the front.
There's some overlap there.
Yeah, but a little bit of overlap. But it's really silly because like I'm not big on scores. My dad always taught me like the only person you should be comparing against is yourself. Did you do better? Do you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's one of those kind of things where I'm like, I knew what I knew, but there were a lot of stuff that I was like, oh, I cannot do history. I cannot even do biology actually, because it has too much memory.
I mentioned I almost failed my O level, right? Yeah, I think my results were so.
What does it take to fail O levels in Singapore?
Wow, man! Wow, I can't remember. I think there's an aggregate score, because I remember you need an aggregate. Like, the grades were, if I'm not wrong, like A1, A2, B3, B4, C5, C6.
Okay, so that's the same as
E7, E8.
Yeah, so that's the same as Malaysia as well.
Yep. So then, of course, the larger the number means you have a larger aggregate score, which is not very good, right?
Okay.
That's how they. I'm not saying it's not very good. Yeah, it's the system. Okay. So So if you pass a certain threshold, then you wouldn't be able to pass or something. I think it was my Sec 3 grades that was so bad. Then
it's aggregate throughout the entire your 4 years.
Oh no lah. I mean, like I said, it's a long time ago. I already almost more than double my age back then. Then let me try and recall. I just remember my grades were so bad during like 15 or 16 years old. My father was called into the principal's office. Yeah, and then my principal that time was a hard ass. It's like, hey, what look at your grades, blah blah blah, and how what can you you're not going to progress, you're going to retain. Like, he's basically threatening us to retain one more year. That kind of thing. And then I was excelling in band, by the way, which sure, totally ignore all my studies, and then anyway, but it was definitely an embarrassing time. Then of course after that I tried to buck up and all, but that was the drama in my secondary school life.
I feel like I really want to ask though, like, was there something in band that really like caught you, or was there something that just clicked for you? How was it like? What made you push yourself so hard, like that you seem to have excelled it in your teenage years? Excelled at it in your teenage years.
No idea, man. Just like what I'm doing, I guess.
So
just enjoy playing in a group or something. Yeah.
So it was very much like a vibe thing for you. It's like, oh yeah, this is just my thing.
Yeah, I guess. yeah, kind of. I didn't like being in percussion section. Kind of led to all the Foley work we're doing now. You know, where we are just taking props and making noises for games and whatnot. That you see the connection.
Yeah. No. But this is also but that's also kind of like where my fascination is coming from, because it's like, from what I'm hearing, it does feel like from like very much from your teens, very independently from your time with the violin and stuff. Like you found yourself in music.
Yeah, something like that.
And it doesn't feel like it, and the weird thing is that what I'm hearing doesn't seem like it's as much an identity thing as much as it is just something that just vibes with you very well.
Oh, identity thing, you mean what? Doing it cause it's cool?
No,
like, I don't know.
You know like how some people like got into some stuff and goes like, oh no, this is like, they build their entire personalities around it, right? I'm not, by the way, despite how I'm looking, like I'm doing, like how I'm like showing up a facade and all that shit, I have nothing against it. Like if this is really how you identify with yourself, all the power to you kind of thing. There are definitely people who do that, right? Like I definitely put a lot of identity behind my ability to talk and all that kind of stuff, right? And my ability to gel with people and all that kind of stuff. So take that away from me, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally lost. But that doesn't seem like that's true for you. For you at least, right? What it sounds like at least is that there's just something about it that vibe well with you, but it wasn't like integral to your identity. It's just something that you really, really, really got into.
Yeah, a little bit. I think it's a little bit of both lah.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
I mean, when you're at an impressionable age, also, I guess it's kind of cool to play drums. You know, yeah.
I mean,
maybe I give more context to the secondary school band kind of thing. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you have friends who were in school bands, like, and you know how it was like?
Oh, no,
I assume you weren't in right?
No, I wasn't.
Right?
I wasn't.
Okay.
I was a martial arts kid.
Ah, wow. Yeah, that's great. We can talk more about that. Yeah. I was. Yeah, I regrettably I didn't get into that, which I kind of feel like I'm not very athletic or physically, you know, how to say, active kind of kid.
It's a training.
Quite clumsy.
Trust me, it's training.
Yeah. Then anyway, yeah. So I just, so okay. Wanted to set the context. My school band was sort of we are called concert band, but the history is from military band.
Oh.
So as a form of discipline and whatnot, when we enter, we are like Sec 1, Sec 2, we are the juniors, Sec 3, Sec 4, we are kind of run like a uniform group, even though we are a music group.
Right.
Yeah. So, right. I mean, this long time ago. So I remember that when we go in, we will do things like drills.
So you guys do like marching and all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah. Right. Even though we don't apply it in, because we are a concert band by now, things have changed, but all these things were still passed down. Yeah, so as a form of like teamwork and bonding and all that, we all had to learn drills, which kind of helped in my later life in army. Yeah. But then that's a separate thing. Yeah. So the drills thing, then if we make mistakes or like didn't go by the rules, the seniors were like, okay, down 20, push-ups. So I guess we kind of got fit through that also. But also, like, there'll be politics and stuff like, hey, this so-and-so senior is an ass. Some of them literally sit in the band room to catch us, like, the moment you walk in as a junior, right? You didn't greet me, down 10. Stuff like this happens, it's a school. I mean, come on. Yeah. So, of course, nowadays, a lot more strict on these kind of things. I think a lot of this got abolished already. But anyway, that was what it was back then. Yeah, and then like, and then the seniors, like in the percussion section, only the seniors were allowed to touch the drum set. Yeah, because they know that it's very tempting. So for the like juniors, you had to get good at playing all the other small instruments first. Yeah, before you can take a drum set part.
Privilege. It's like a privilege.
Yeah. It's a privilege thing. So and somehow, I don't know if you can imagine in a wind band, The rest are playing clarinet, flute, tuba, trombone, trumpet. These are still like orchestral instruments to some extent, but drum set is a is a contemporary, cool-looking instrument. And then and you're at that age, it's like people are looking, hey, who's at the drum set? This is a very concert band, like a band person thing.
I
guess so to some extent, there's some of that going on. It's like, hey, I want to be on that throne. Literally, a drum seat is called a drum throne. But anyway, in case you didn't know, so
today
a lot of ego in that. So I believe there's some of that. Plus, just really, I never really thought about it whether I was vibing it or whatever, but it's just I just chose to dedicate a lot of time to it.
That's fantastic.
Maybe it's a bit of I wasted my parents' money for their violin class, so I better get good at my free CCA. I don't know.
It's like making up for it, right, in your later years.
Yeah.
I definitely martial arts, at least for my part, was something that I was definitely sparked by the coolness of it for me as a kid. Like I grew up watching like Jackie Chan movies and shit like that, like Wong Fei Hong and all that kind of stuff. So you have this like fantasy image in your head about like how awesome martial arts is. And then I grew up also like reading a lot of comics and shit. So it was definitely a part of me. I do say this with a little bit of pride. Like I wasn't horrible at it. I'm not that great, but I'm not horrible.
What martial arts were you?
I took karate.
Ooh.
And the cool thing was that I was actually the trainer that was training for my school, right? Is a SEA Games gold medalist.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I fought other SEA Games prospects in like district tournaments before. Like, so people who actively took training in like, oh yeah, we're taking like SEA Games, like preparing for the SEA Games kind of people, right? Like, I actually fought them in school tournaments before. And I always jokingly tell people, I always fight them on the first round and I always lose.
Wait, why?
Hey, SEA Games, SEA Games candidates,
Okay. Wow.
I kept matching it up with them on the first round, and then I just get knocked out on the spot. I mean, it's not a full knockout, like it's a scoring thing.
Right.
Like I was like, hey, I can hold my own. I think I'm very good already.
How far do you get?
I never got past the first one. I never got past the first round in. Oh, you mean in terms of belts?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm one belt below black. I
can't remember. Okay.
Yeah. So, I never got my black because what happened was that my trainer at the time, he retired eventually, and then the guy that took over unfortunately didn't vibe with me very well, and also by that time it happened also, I also left the school. So progress for me was a little flatline, and eventually I was like, yeah, I'm kind of done. Yeah, I never got my black belt. I'm a bit unhappy about that, to be honest.
Sounds it's so funny that I'm making music connections. It's like people who go piano and never got their diploma. They just stop at grade 8, that kind of thing.
A bit close enough.
I'm so deep into the music thing, I'm so clueless about any other thing else. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But so like for you after band, what was it for you? Like, so in for your O levels, you went into, as you say, like your curriculum was like, with the school and everything. Your co-curriculum was with the school bands and stuff like that. Then what was so when you finish your O levels, right? What was next for you?
Next for me was either JC or Poly, right? Yeah. So then I eventually went to a junior college, a JC, that was near where near my place. Yeah, but again, that JC near my place happened to be again not one of the top schools, but like they are kind of, I don't want to use the term like neighborhood, neighborhood schools last time, all these labels, but they're kind of like, okay, I don't know, like top 5. I can't remember there was top 5 JC or top 3 in the past. they're kind of like after the top three, they're the fourth, or that kind of thing. So the cutoff point was like maybe 12. I think A level is how many subjects? 5 subjects, I think. So you come past 12 points with 5 subjects. Yeah, something like that. The L1, R5, sorry, all this is coming back to me now. 6 subjects, which means you need to average A2 on every subject, in order to get on their science stream or whatever. I don't know.
I didn't know that was the thing.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. And as I'm recalling now, then I'm trying L1, R5. Yeah. For poly, it's L1, R4 score. L1 means language 1, R is the rest, and another 4 subjects.
Oh.
Yeah. So, kind of getting too deep into this, but anyway. Okay, I'm getting to something. My L1, R5 didn't really make it into that JC.
Oh.
Yeah, so I had to kind of appeal into band. So it happens that the year is 2003. They are, what is SYF, Singapore Youth Festival?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
All these CCAs all these performance groups will have their I think it applies to all CCAs lah. But anyway, every 2 years or every 3 years, the schools like band and whatever music performance groups will be graded. You get your gold, silver, or your bronze. This school has a gold band, this school has a silver band or whatever. That kind of thing. So
cool.
Yeah. So like before you go into JC, they have these open houses on the previous year. During the school holiday period, I think. Then so there's a band open house in this place. So I go in. Then so it was SYF year the following year. So they needed someone to be able to play some bongo conga part thing. Anyway, yeah, kind of complex. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, all right, cool. Let me try. And I'm not. This is really what happened, lah. Okay, I just tried the part. Then it's like then you can feel some folks like, yeah, all right, we need this guy. It's just and then somehow I found myself in the appeal list, to get into.
I don't know
via band. So
okay, this is gonna sound so dumb, but at this point it sounds like a high school anime. Do you getting those vibes as well? It sounds a little bit like a high school anime.
I'm trying to visualize back, and then as I'm describing to you, yes, I'm like, this could be a story. All the actual current JC students, and I'm a junior, right? I'm still Sec 4.
Right.
Yeah, then I'm like, oh yeah, wow, these guys can deal with the semi-quavers. That's cool. It was a really syncopated rhythm or something. Anyway. So my violin class served me well because I could read music since primary school.
Right.
So my reading is good. But anyway, so see back to our parents.
It's very much part of. Look, this is very much part of the story. Okay, so we're not digressing here this time.
Yep. Yeah. So that's how I found my way into JC, which I struggled quite a bit because JC means academic. Yeah, and there's a term called mugger school. I don't know. This term is gone already, right? But a mugger is someone who studies a lot.
Is that actually
MUGG?
Oh shit! I'm actually not familiar with it though.
There's a slang like mug. Hey, you want to go mug? Or mug now sounds like you're stealing something, but mugging. Mugging means I'm deep in my books. I don't know. Back then,
this feels like a very Singaporean thing again.
Okay, yeah, maybe. I don't know where the term comes from. Yeah, but back then there's no internet. We don't know where the term comes from. People just start saying it, and then it just goes. I wonder if anyone in the chat knows, but
Yeah, that'd be awesome. If anyone who's watching the VOD on this, please leave a comment. I would love to know as well. I'm super into trying to understand what some of the weirder vernaculars that each of our individual countries pick up. So I think one of the ones that I've often cited, and by the way, this is going to be a quick digress on my side as well. One very common term that Malaysians use that I very happily bring up is ghostan. And do you know the story for it?
Go astern, is it?
That's exactly it. I'm not even joking. That's
Yeah,
exactly it. So like Ghostan actually comes from the whole naval term of like go astern. You know? So and these stories always like amuse me. And so if anyone out there who's listening, watching this on VOD or however many years it might be, if you happen to, know the history of the Singaporean turn of phrase, mugger, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. Hopefully I'll still be alive to read it.
Okay.
I don't know how long. Anyway.
But quick thing, since we're talking about the Singapore versus Malaysia, right? Like I only found out a couple of years ago that when we say shiok, Malaysians say shiok.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Were you aware of this?
No, sorry. You mean there's a difference in the pronunciation?
The pronunciation.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Yeah, in Singapore we tend to say like the O sound, like shiok.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Malaysians tend to go shiok. I don't know. Is that a thing?
We emphasize the K a little bit more. Yes, that's a little bit true. The difference hasn't been, and I'm going to use the word appalling, as how Singaporeans like to pronounce genting.
Wait, is that wrong? I thought that's the correct one. No,
that's the correct one. You guys have twisted genting so badly.
Genting, right?
That even genting themselves have like given up on correcting you.
Singaporeans say genting, right?
Genting.
You know why or not? Because right, our toilet sign says ladies and gents.
You have to recognize, right? You guys don't pronounce it. You guys don't even pronounce it as the same way you say gentleman. It's very heavy on the J. Gentleman at least is lighter on the J. Your genting, right, is very explicitly a J.
Because man, I.
So
guilty.
Look, despite the eyes, like Singaporean pakute, I have literally just learned to accept that this is just your ways, and like as a foreigner working in your lands, I will accept it as it is. It is your uniquely adorable idiosyncrasies. And I don't say that, like, I don't mean to make it sound as condescending as it came out, but like it really isn't. Like it really is one of those kind of things where it's like, really, Singapore? Okay, I guess.
Yeah. It's quite funny actually. I'm also quite interested in all these like these language things that are like, even though we are so close by, Yeah. So okay.
Okay, but I want to ask a little bit though. Like, so when you went into junior college, right? Like, when it comes to junior college, was there like a set, curriculum that you had to follow? Like, there's a bunch of like set subjects that you have to pick up, or is it like, because my experience with A levels, right? When I went to A levels, there were courses that you can take, but then you can opt in and out of like certain subjects if you want to. So like in my case, I went into double maths. That was my, like, maths and physics is my strong suit. So I took double maths and then I took chemistry on the side. It was a requirement because you minimum take 4 subjects.
What's wrong with you, man? Double maths student. Just messing with you.
No, man. Like, no, I swear to God, math comes very easily to me. The only reason why I'm not doing math right now, like I'm not doing any math related stuff right now, is because I got bored with it. Like my problem with math related work is that I understand it well enough, but I'm very lazy to practice. And as any person who ever does math a lot will tell you, that you need to practice, because if you don't practice, it doesn't drill itself into your head. And if it doesn't drill itself into your head, right, then you're not going to be able to pull up the information quickly enough. And it's a version of muscle memory, if you know what I mean, right? So if you don't practice, you're just not going to pull up anything, and so you're not going to do very well. And that's basically what happened to me in A levels. Yeah.
Oh,
like if you put the book in front of me, right, and you ask me and you explain it to me, right, and then right in front or immediately on the spot, you give me any problem to try and solve, I would be able to go like, oh, I can figure out like, oh, this is how, if you meant by this, therefore this is what it could be, and stuff like that. I can do it in front of you. But if I cannot remember, then my timeline, like if you give me enough time, I can probably still do it in time. Like if I don't have enough time in a limited environment, right, then it becomes very difficult for me to perform to the subject, like to the test, you know. I remember one time in particular, I knew my foundations, my fundamental math so well, and I know the principles of the math that was involved in the question, right. What I did was I reverse engineered the question, meaning that I, instead of using the formulas, which was a lot more faster and direct, I hypothesized what the formula could be, and then without using the formulas, use if and or but situation, and created like an answer. And truth be told, I actually got the answer except for a calculation error.
Wow, that's why you're a game designer now, okay? Just want to say. Yeah,
but
man.
Yeah, so I made a calculation error, and then therefore I didn't get the score at all. Like sorry, the final answer was wrong. I brought it up to my lecturer at that time. I brought it up to my lecturer at that time because I said, hey, can you at least give me some points for the marking, like the scoring, right? Sorry, the method, right? He said no.
Yeah.
The answer is wrong. I don't accept anything. I was like, what the hell, man?
Man.
But every step of the way, right? If you follow the logic, right, it's correct, right?
Well, then one can launch into a whole education system thing.
Yeah, I think it's really specifically because it was him. He wasn't that good. Yeah, but different problem. Yeah, no, but I'm curious, like at least for JC, like how was it? Like, do you have like a fixed subject and stuff?
Yeah, no, not really. I think it's kind of like what you said. It's either science stream or art stream. You know, I went to science stream. I remember taking physics, maths, and economics. Yeah, so I think it's Oh, I remember now. So in secondary school, I was a triple science student.
Also, you take the biochemistry and physics.
Then because my grades were so bad, I was made to drop one O-level subject. Remember that story? Yeah. So I was forced to drop bio. And then in A-levels, I think my grades weren't that great also. And then I dropped chemistry. Yeah. So I was just left with physics. And the way I made that decision, I was like, what's related to music? I guess I drum, right? My drumstick move up and down, bounce back and forth. I need to know the laws of physics, right? Okay, physics. So, yes. Yeah, I'm like, how am I going to use chemistry? Probably not. Nothing to do with music. So that's how I decided. Yeah.
To be fair, our microphones function on physics.
Exactly. So not bad. My deduction was
very, very
pretty okay.
Yes, pretty okay.
Pretty okay. Yeah.
I still remember when I was like doing research for like microphones and stuff, right? Like the differences between condenser and dynamic mics.
Right.
I was reading the mechanical differences and going like, yeah, this is absolutely physics.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And sound wave, speed of sound.
Yeah,
things like that. Yeah. So so that did I answer your question?
Yeah, well, you did, but like, so I guess the question I have from there is that because you took stuff that were essentially like still science-based and still very still very paper exam kind of things, like most of us would imagine like being like study, book studies and stuff like that. Not to say that music doesn't have book studies, but I am saying like, there's a lot more like these kind of book studies out there. I would have imagined that a person who's doing what you're doing, being a sound engineer, being like, co-founder for Imba and all that kind of stuff, like that you would have went straight into like, sound design courses and stuff like that.
Yeah. You mean in sound design courses?
Yeah, and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So back then, polytechnic was a choice, but I think at that point, right, there was nothing really related to music course. I think it was only after I entered JC or graduated A-levels, then there was a music course in Singapore.
Oh.
Yeah, which is where I'm teaching now. But yeah. Yeah, but every time I tell the student, I say, "Oh my gosh, you guys have like studios on campus, like you have no idea." Like there was nothing. I don't even have that choice. Yeah. So yeah, that's why. Yeah. Only reason I'm in science stream is because you have parents and people going, it's faster, you get to uni faster. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah.
So you never got into formal training when you were like for sound and all that kind of stuff, is it?
Yeah, not for me. Even in uni, I took a BFA in interactive media.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did that so could you like share like basically how did that journey eventually led you to doing Imba then, if you don't mind? Like, or is there somewhere in between as well? Because like
there is.
Obviously there's this massive gap in the story in my head right now, and I'm so curious where like I'm so curious what this space is like, this gap is like for you.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we fast forward a little bit. I'll try to truncate that. So after junior college, for us the guys in Singapore, we have to go through NS. Yeah, national service. Yeah. Of course there's basic military training. Everyone has to go through that if your health is okay. And then you get into a unit. Yeah, and very fortunately for me, I joined SAF band.
That's a choice.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a luck thing because kind of we are pre-assigned to some units already. They already know your fate after your basic military training. Where do you go? But if that unit it needs more manpower, then you're unlucky. Even if you pass the band auditions, you won't get. But for me, I was quite lucky. Yeah, whatever unit, I don't know what it was. Like it's like somehow they just tell you you're posting one fine day. Okay, you're going to a band. So that was lucky for me lah. Yeah. Also helps that somehow my JC conductor is also the SAF band conductor. It's like pure luck. Yeah. I walk. Yeah. Hey. Oh wait. Is your audio coming through?
No. I mouthed it. That's all.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I walked into the audition room, I remember. Then I'm like, eh? He's like, eh?
Singapore is a very small country. I need to emphasize like Singapore is a very small country.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, man. Yeah. So that then okay, my sort of music thing kept through my 2 years line in some sense. And then when I'm in university, I took up I went to art school finally, right? Yeah, after doing science stream, and then like I joined the jazz band, because I had enough of playing in big ensembles. So wanted to play in smaller ensembles. So I think jazz band was an enjoyable time for me, playing in smaller ensembles, learn how to improvise. Yeah, so that's great. And then as you see, music is always a CCA for me. Yeah. Then during my BFA program, there's something that we have to go for internship, right? Yeah. So actually, there's some pictures that I sent over.
Oh.
Yeah. If you want to pull it up.
Which one should I be looking at?
The 2010 one.
2010. Yeah. Okay, I think this should be still it. Okay, give me a short while, yeah? Let me just pull it up onto screen. Sure. There we go. It's on screen.
All right. Okay. So this one says, this is where we were sent to. There's this program called Gambit. Yeah, it's some acronym for something lah. And it's where's my cursor? Yeah, I'm still trying to pull it up bigger so I can see. Okay, yeah. There's this program that was between Singapore and MIT actually. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Should I pull up the Gambit image instead?
If you want, just for a quick while. That's just their logo.
Pull it up real quick. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Singapore MIT Gambit. They still don't. It doesn't tell you what the acronym is, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. Singapore infamous for acronyms one. Yeah. So any initiative must be, something. But anyway, so these some photos that we're in Boston. Yeah, in 2010. So yeah, that's where we like rapid prototype games with half the batch was Singaporeans, the other half was like people in New England, students from New England. So MIT, RISD, Rhode Island School of Design, I believe. Yeah, I think some other schools. And then there are programmers, artists, audio folks like me, game designers. Yeah, so that's the commonality with all the co-founders of Imba actually. Yeah, so I was there in 2010. Sharon also was there. So then Gwen was there in 2007, I think. Yeah, so this was like a 6-year initiative lah.
Okay, that's pretty long.
Gwen was in the first batch. Yeah, Gwen was in the first batch. Sharon was in and we were in the third or fourth batch, something like that. Yeah, and then we're all still studying, so we all went to this program, but we didn't actually meet to talk about forming a company until we all graduated actually. Yeah. So yeah, that picture on the bottom right is a bit cheating lah. That's not 2010. That's already in 20 what's that 2013 or 2014 also. Yeah, but that whole lab, right, that's SUTD game lab. Yeah, and they made like Singapore's first PlayStation 4 game or something.
Nice.
Yeah, called One Light. Yeah. And then like so there was, because other than the internship program, they actually have a full-time game development lab in Singapore. Yeah, so alumni of that program usually end up being hired here and things like that. Yeah, so Gwen worked there for a while, Sharon worked there for a while, and then after that they were contract workers. So when they graduated, then this team was left without audio folks for a while. Then when we formed Imba, we naturally helped with their game. Yeah. So this was one of the first few games we actually worked on.
Nice.
Yeah. Unity and Unity. Unity 4, I remember. Yeah, that was the game engine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah.
So you brought up Imba at the time, sorry, I believe you were just leading up to it. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I forgot to mention that this Gambit program is really where it really exposed us to the whole game dev process. Yeah, and that how games can be a legit career option. Because in Singapore back then, right, there's really a very small industry, Yeah. I don't think there would be a local internship at that time to actually expose us to the whatever we learned at Boston. Yeah, so that was a really golden opportunity. Yeah, very lucky to have gone to this and government sponsored, by the way. Yeah, for anyone wondering, like, wow, you're so rich, you go Boston. Yeah, no man, that was the only time I was in US and I never went back again. And it's all sponsored by government, so lucky lah. Of course there's interviews and stuff like that, but yeah, it was an experience. But this really kickstart a lot of our involvement with the game industry, because a lot of the alumni that came back from this, either work in game companies or like we start our own thing. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I guess that is a very good segue to you and Gwen and Sharon, I believe, founding Imba.
Yeah.
So what brought you guys together? What made you guys say like, hey, this is what we want to do? Because from what I can tell, your time at Boston basically brought you three together. Did you
in
know,
some sense?
Yeah. Did you know Gwen or Sharon before that? Okay,
I knew Sharon for sure because we flew there together. We were in different teams because one team had only one audio person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there are a total of, if I'm not wrong, 6 teams. Each team will have about 10 people plus minus. Yeah. So we're working on different games, but we would all the audio people would gather for like a sort of a section meeting so that we can share things like what went well, what didn't go well. Maybe we can help each other solve each other's problems from different teams, that sort of thing. And there's a mentor lah, of course. Yeah. So of course I met Sharon all the time. Yeah, during the trip. So yeah, I already knew Sharon from there. Yeah. Then actually, I don't know how to shorten this, so I'm just going to say the whole
Go ahead.
thing. Then actually, when there's a permanent lab, right? I mentioned there's a Gambit game lab in Singapore, right? That actually makes games. Gwen was there first because she finished her studies earliest. Right. So she was their first audio person there as well, working, not internship anymore. Based in Singapore. Then I think she went to what's this? Vancouver Film School. She went to do a 1-year sound thing in Vancouver Film School. So she had to, of course, drop this job, right? Yeah, so she needed to find a replacement, and then Sharon was her replacement. Yeah, in the game lab, Yeah, so that's how both of them got closer. I actually also knew Gwen because I think before she went Vancouver Film School, she was in the same university program as me. Yeah, I was in year 2, she was in year 1, I think. But then she dropped out because she, the program wasn't for her.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I had very similar experiences too, because like I was in animation, and I was in animation in the One Academy in KL. So if you've ever heard the One Academy, it's actually one of the better ones in Malaysia, if not this region itself. And it has a notorious dropout rate. Especially in the animation department, because like on average it's like a 10% survival rate. Like if you go in with like 100 people, odds are your class is going to go out like 10 people. Yeah.
Wow. Is it because the program is very intense and stuff like that?
Partially, yes. But partially also because like a lot of people go in not expecting it to be like that. And I will concede that the way the One Academy does it can be a little bit different. So like One Academy does this whole thing where it's very vocationally centric. So what it does is that it gives you a lot of coursework, a lot of exercise, a lot of guidance to like making sure you can do the work. But it's also one of those kind of things where it's like, oh, you learn all this, you do all this. Like it back then, like when I was taking it, right? It wasn't particularly good at guiding you through, I want to say, like building the creative blocks in your head, if you know what I mean. Like creativity as a concept, right, was something that you sort of had to have, or you're not going to be able to pick it up along the way. This isn't to say that the lecturers were bad or anything. I want to put this massive asterisk here, right? Like but the fact is, at the end of the day, like as a school, any educator trying to teach creativity will tell you that it's difficult. Because it's very non-tangible, right? And all of us look at creativity in a very different way. So as a school especially, I think I wouldn't put too much fault into the One Academy for not being able to actually adequately teach creativity. But at the same time, you sort of have to recognize that like if you went into an art school expecting them to teach you creativity, you're probably going to be very disappointed at the end of the day. Yeah,
you can't teach creativity. Yeah, you can at most talk about it, but you really have to do. You have to create. Then you'll know.
I think I do think that creativity is a frame of mind that like does require like certain ways of looking at things and things like that. It differs from person to person. The approach is very, very varied. Yeah, but yeah, no. Teaching you how to do the work is like they really can upskill you. Like you can go in not knowing how to draw, you get out like being half a decent artist. Like I consider myself the bottom of my class, and I would say like I'm not horrible. Like if I really want to, you can commission me for artwork. You wouldn't be completely appalled that your final result is at least what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. I think same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
so yeah. No, go ahead.
Oh no. It's your story, man. Like so from there, like how was it like from like so what brought you guys together and like really start thinking like, oh yeah, let's do this as a business kind of thing?
Right. So okay. so we didn't immediately start this after graduation. I graduated in 2011. Imba started in 2013. And then that 2 years gap, I was actually doing TV, sounds for TV. Yeah, I was a media corp. Yeah, not for a whole 2 years, but for a short while. Yeah, and that's where I learned broadcast stuff. So that was useful. I did a few sounds for like a few drama. I think I completed 1.5 drama series. Yeah. It's cool. It's like, I get to see the episodes ahead of time.
Do you still remember what the series called?
Yes, I was thrown quite into the deep end with this show called Code of Honor.
Oh.
Yeah, it's clearly riding on the whole Ip Man trend that time with like all the punches. Yeah. So there was like Chinese weapons, Chinese martial arts. Hey, martial arts somehow. Yeah, but sounds for all these like bare fist fighting and all that. Wow, like a whole bunch of rapid punches. But the thing is, we have to stop one frame, drop one sound, stop one frame, and all these are like half a second.
Yeah. Because
so after you sync up, and it's maybe like 15 minutes of work, it's actually just a 3-second sequence. Yeah. Yeah. So okay lah. I mean, it's good training. I think I definitely learned how to work fast down there. Because the deadlines and all that. Yeah. But the problem with that was there was a unpredictable shift work. Yeah. So that didn't quite work out for me and my current wife lah. Yeah. So after a while, decided to look for other options. Yeah. And then at that time, Sharon also. Sharon was in the game lab. Remember? Yeah, but the game lab at some point had to shut down because of government funding stopping, because it is a government program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So everyone get laid off, and then Gwen. Quite funny. After her VFS, she went to a Hong Kong studio to do internship. Yeah, through some contacts that she had. Yeah, and I remember vividly that I just share some stories that she told me. Like in the Hong Kong studio, they're all guys and uncles mostly. Hong Kong film industry, right? Yeah, and then like all apprenticeship one. Then they're like, "What are you doing here? Why are you not playing piano?" It's like, you're a girl, that kind of thing. Why you not? Then they will be at their mixer board. Then the whole studio smells of smoke. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. So
this is gonna sound so stereotypical, but like that is how I picture a lot of sound guys.
Right. The moment I say Hong Kong film industry, then okay.
Yeah, and it sounds so bad, but the fact is, right, like a lot of sound guys I know do smoke.
Yeah.
Right. And like they're pretty, like, if they're not at the soundboard, they will be smoking. Like when I used to do events, if they're not at the FOH, they are smoking.
Stress.
I don't know maybe it's the long hours kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not easy sometimes. Yeah. So then I mean she had that experience, but it was sort of dead end there also, because she don't speak Canto, I think. So she also find it very hard to like continue on there a bit longer. I think that was one of the reasons. So anyway, all came back to Singapore. Just happens that we're all at sort of a crossroads. And then like I think Gwen and Sharon were talking, and then like Sharon was like, "Hey, I know a guy, Oh, that's me lah." Then I think somehow I also know Gwen because we sort of saw each other at uni at some point. Yeah, and then like, okay, we started talking lah. Yeah, and at the start it was not games company, because we, you wouldn't start with such a niche thing. Now you look back and think like, hey, Jeremy, Sharon, and Gwen just wanted to start a game audio company, like, I know, man. It was a long process. We just wanted to start a studio thing, or like what can we do? We actually banded a few other people, about 6 people or so. But then it filtered down to three of us because we started saying, hey, let's do games because that sounds a niche, blue ocean strategy.
Right.
Yeah. So then I mean, long story short, we basically just jumped into it because we thought, okay, we're all from Gambit, right? At that time we had some experience doing games, so why not just do it? Yeah, so just kind of started from there. Yeah.
Man, what year was this in, though? Like, what year did you guys
get together? Is it? And talking? 2012.
2012, you guys got together and started talking. Like, so when was the company formed?
The incorporation.
Yeah.
2013 April, I remember. Yeah, we went to like our Accra and sign up a company name or something.
Nice.
Yeah, or a business name. We started as a business. Yeah. A partnership. I don't know if you all know business structure in Singapore, but yeah.
I need to have a conversation with you about that.
Oh, right. Partnership, I mean, just for the listeners also, right? But partnership is just like sole proprietorship, but with multiple people involved. So you are just a business name. If the business gets sued, then it directly is the three of you. But if you form a company, which is a private limited, then the company is a separate entity.
Right.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, I do know the difference in a sense that like private limited as it is implied by the term private limited, there is limited liability, meaning that you cannot be sued for more than what the company is worth. Yeah. So meaning that if the company is bankrupt, right, like you don't automatically become bankrupt yourself.
Yeah.
So that's the protection and the separation.
Yep. So that's the gist of it. Yeah, we kind of converted a year later, but it doesn't matter. These are technical stuff. The company started in 2013. Yeah. Yes.
I think like some level of the nuances is important especially for those who are curious, and I am, because I am curious to know, like, why did you guys start not immediately as a private limited, like as a partnership instead? Like, was there a reason for you guys?
There is, because if you want to start a company, you need start to do accounts. And you need to pay money for an accountant. I mean, back then we got no money. Yeah. And I don't know about the cost in other countries, but in Singapore, you all know, the rental is, like we are just students who just graduated barely a year, and then like man, I don't think there's enough savings to say let's drop some money and build a studio in a shop house. Wow, like I wish I could do that. Yeah, immediately, but that takes a lot of capital in Singapore. So we thought, let's just start a business and see where we go with that, with our home studios. Yeah.
Fascinating. So so the company set up right and in 2012 as a partnership. How do you guys get your first clients? Like, how did it end up? I'm assuming that you started a company first, then you started hunting for a client, not the other way around, right?
Yeah. So before that, I think I was also freelancing for a bit. And then I mentioned Gwen and Sharon were working with the Game Lab, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I think I made a technical mistake just now. So just now that group in the 2010 picture, that one is called Gambit Game Lab. But later they formed another one called SUTD Game Lab, because SUTD is new, is kind of relatively new, right? Yeah. So they tried to do that initiative. The people who led the program on Singapore side, it no longer had relation with MIT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they had a game lab here called SUTD Game Lab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they hired back some of the alumni, but audio is not a full-timer situation. So one of the gigs was from there. We went back as a team, to help audio for that game. And then when I was freelancing, I also made some contacts. Honestly, I can't remember how I got those contacts. Probably friends of friends. Yeah. So, yeah. it just built from there. The next step was actually going to game shows. Yeah. So do you remember Casual Connect?
Yeah.
Asia.
Yeah. That was, who was the organizer for that? Can't remember. It's been so long.
Oh god, I thought they're just called Casual Connect, but anyway.
Were the organizers called Casual Connect as well?
I don't recall the separate name. It's not like how Gamescom and you know. Yeah. I think. I don't know, but it was at least the host country was Singapore back then.
Right.
For multiple years, which means we don't have to travel, so that's a privilege.
Yeah.
Right. I think the first year we actually volunteered as like volunteers so that we can get pass to get in. Yeah. You know, so that's how our first exposure to like how a game conference might be like. I think I remember Chris from Boomzap actually hooked us up.
Oh, that's nice. Shout out to
yeah man. Yeah, so that was our first game show experience. Yeah, and then we start to go more, and I think by the second or third year we were at Casual Connect, we're already giving talks.
Nice.
Yeah, because I don't know, man, game audio is kind of niche.
It is.
Nobody really was really doing it back then, and we really, you know, dedicate ourselves to like, okay, we only do game audio, that kind of thing. That's what we say, okay, branding. To survive, you also have to do some stuff, not games. You know? I mean, yeah.
One of the cool things I know that you guys do is that you guys actually do implementation as well. Like you don't just provide the assets, but you guys do like in-engine implementation as well. Right?
Yeah. So that's the thing we always wanted to build from day one, you know. And although it's not something that a skill set that we immediately had also, because even in Gambit, what we did at the time was we actually just make the sounds, but we talk to the programmers. Yeah, I remember I was using Flash, Adobe Flash, or a version of that Action Script you know, for the games.
We are aging ourselves so badly, man.
Yeah. So that was in Gambit time, you know. We did that. AS3, and then I remember like I do technical troubleshoot. Every time MP3 had a looping, you know, there's a looping problem. Every time you loop the music, there's a small silence at the beginning. Yeah.
That's
and that's due.
It's a delay in the file that it's a delay in the player.
Yeah, because it's sort of just reading the metadata as audio data or something like that.
I think so.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% certain of it, but I know that like it's even with MP3 players, even if you just ask for continuous play, you always have a split-second pause before the next one happens. And I think it has something to do with the file format and it trying to read the file format. So like there's always this kind of like
it's
like
some header data. Yeah.
Is it? Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
But if they interpret it as audio samples, then there's no sound, right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so that's always that. Yeah, that's what I remember Okay, I mean, I'm also not that technical.
Yeah,
I was not trained.
I'm not technically familiar with it, but I have seen.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, because I have seen the pattern in MP3 files particularly, like where it's always, I'm going to pause. Like there's always a split second where the player always seems to be deciding whether it should be playing it or not, but and then moving on, you know.
Yeah. So at that time we had to solve it with I don't know, we had to package the audio inside ActionScript and export it as a Flash object. Then it would strip the header data. Then it solved the problem. We have gapless looping. Yeah. So I remember that. And then
I can imagine how that solved it. But let's move on.
Right. Yes. Anyway. So yeah.
No, because
so we.
Because
go ahead.
Technically, and this is me making guesswork, by the way. I'm probably wrong. Because what happens is the system stops treating it as an MP3. It basically says, hey, there's this thing that's playing in the file, and it says that I have to loop it. So okay, understood. I'll just let it play on its own, and loop the sound automatically. So it doesn't do the MP3 decision process. like
Mm.
and have to like where it has to figure out whether it should be playing. So effectively, this is why like that repackage helps remove it completely. This is at least how I would
Yeah.
imagine the solution working.
Yeah, either that or if they see an MP3, they will be streaming it. That means
Right,
they're
right.
reading it, they're not caching it.
Correct,
Yeah,
exactly,
but if
right?
it's an FLA, then they'll cache it and then they'll read ahead
Correct,
and then they'll
exactly,
things
exactly.
like
So yes,
Yeah,
if anyone has the technical knowledge, please explain it to us as well. I'm very curious. I would love to share this with Jeremy when the time comes, if you guys can provide me an answer. Otherwise, yeah,
yeah.
we're moving on to this. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
so you were
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, so yeah, back then, nowadays with the game engines we use are like Unity, Unreal,
Mm.
and things like that, right? And then I don't know if anyone knows the audio middleware, Fmod and Wise. Yeah, these
Oh.
are the industry tools that are being used now. And then like we're not trained in that actually.
Mm.
Yeah. So even with we kind of for the SUTD Game Lab stuff, their first PlayStation 4 game, right? We had to like go down to their studio. Of course we work in the sound in our home studios. After that, right, we deliver the files, right?
Mm.
We go down to their studio where the build is. Okay, and then we sit down at their computer and sit beside their programmer and we try to implement it and play test it, as we go. So right from our first project, that's how like sort of literally hands-on with the project. This is before version control, okay? Yeah. Like there was no version control because they were all in-house except us, ma.
Mm.
Yeah, we were outside. Yeah. Of course, by now we are all using version control and things like that, So yeah, it took us several years to get there because there's no one here to teach us also. Yeah, so we had to really learn from online, and also experiment ourselves. Then also like very fortunate, some clients have that faith in us to pick up the middleware, then allow us to actually practice also. Yep. So ultimately, yeah, that was our long-term goal from the beginning, but we didn't have it at the start. That was my point.
So basically, like you guys started off like saying that you want to do games, game audio and all that kind of stuff, but like it was a lot of on-project learning that you guys are actually being able to actually had to pick up a lot of skills on project as you went along.
The integration part as you mentioned.
So producing the files, like sure, but the integration part you learned along the way
Yes, because one part is we didn't have the skills. That's one, right? I think the bigger portion is the clients don't expect us to touch the integration. At least in this region, right? I don't know anybody who expect when they look for a sound designer in 2013, right? To expect, like you to go and put in the sounds in the game. You just give me the music, I'll put it in. That's what they always believe in. And most clients will also come to you at the end of the production. All the animation and game design is already done. Then I need some sounds, to give it some polish. Yeah. But that's not how we were trained at the Gambit program. You see, yeah, we were involved right from the beginning. Yeah, and then we basically bounce and we will basically do sounds for prototype, and then we will start with programmer art, things like that, and then the sound evolves alongside the whole development process. Yeah, but when we started a company, we realized commercially here people don't do that. Yeah, so a lot of the effort, other than just getting gigs, is also trying to educate back the industry, on like, hey, you can come in earlier. There are different ways of doing things. That sort of thing. Yeah. We basically don't really charge clients for how long we're on the project. Yeah, it's more for work done.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So basically, which brings it in a very interesting question then, because like you've been at this for at this point, what, 12 years, like a decade plus already at this point, right? And I guess the question here is like, how has the business evolved for you? I want to talk about the games industry by and large as well. How well, a lot of your initiatives have like trying to re-educate and all that kind of stuff has been, at least for your side of the story. But I'm also very curious, very specifically also about like how the business has evolved as well. So yeah, so like has a business model sort of emerged over time? How do you handle like what is how do you normally work into an arrangement with your clients and stuff, if you don't mind sharing? Like anything, obviously, you know, PNC one will keep it PNC and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm so thinking, how has it changed? Well, I mean, 2013 we started. Now is what, 2025, right? Yeah, 12 years. Yeah, wow. I think the biggest change, if I compare to back then, is the way we quote services. Yeah, last time we just like, oh, how much is it? And it still exists. How much is it for one sound effect or 10 sound effects per sound effects pricing? And things like that. And yeah, nowadays we don't do that anymore, and we still have to educate some people, because especially games, right? It's not like, oh, I need you to it's not as straightforward as like, oh, I need you to just master 5 minutes of music. We really don't know the scope, until we look at your game and things like that. So nowadays we dive much deeper, and then we will actually ask for version control and permissions from the client, and depending who we are talking to, the comfort level, asking them to share their project with us who are based outside their office, sometimes it's a problem. Yeah, but like over the years, I've seen that comfort level get better and better, actually. Yeah, so the battle that we have to fight also less. Yeah, so that's why I noticed how the industry in this region changed. Yeah.
Are your clients all within this region on that note?
Mostly Asia.
Oh, okay. So it's Asia, like. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we had one from Czech Republic, but that's an anomaly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think the clients that you have is a direct reflection of like your own like networking activities? Like, because I'm assuming that you've only been to largely like game conventions within the Asia region kind of thing.
Maybe. We definitely try to reach out to other regions. Yeah. But I think a lot of the times, like let's say you try to for US or Europe, time zone difference. Yeah. So not very sure. We've had short stints here and there, for from folks in the States and all that, but none really like long term or plus in the States there's no shortage of sound designers or composers.
Oh, okay.
The industry there is like a lot more mature. So already, like when we started Imba, I think literally nobody else do game audio. That's how rare it is in the region. Yeah. I mean, I'm not just saying like, oh, we are the first just because I'm like bragging or what, but literally, I think maybe there was one and another other studio in the region, maybe like a few years after we started, and then and there were other studios who tried to get into game audio, but I think it's really hard for them to, like, if they're in the advertising world, right? I mean, sound studios, no shortage lah. Okay, there's a lot of voice recording studios, and all that. They like, it's a different understanding for games, and a different kind of budget and all that. So I think eventually they either just stop looking into games and things like that. So as a audio, but then in US there are many studios that are like, oh, we do game audio only. It's much more. So the developers there, I think they would rather work with somewhere nearer, just in proximity and time zone.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Anyway, you mentioned earlier. Sorry. I want to just flag out, like right now, if anyone who's watching who's with us right now. If you guys got any questions for Jeremy, please feel free to leave it in the comments below or at the form. We actually have a form, a Google form that I usually have the description of this video. It's fine if you don't, but yeah, for those who want to, please feel free to do so. We're at this phase where I feel like we can we can go with the flow a little bit more, because to be fair, like we are almost caught up, but I do want to ask, and this is going to sound very rude, because in the 12 years that you've been doing, right, like Imba and all that stuff, you've mentioned that so you do have like the way you approach your clients are slightly different. It's a little bit more structured now, and the fact that a lot of them have become a little bit more open-minded about the way to work with you, both in terms of how they like sharing their projects with you and understanding that they should be with you from an earlier phase of the game, things like that.
Yep.
I suppose my question then becomes like, is there anything like else that stands out as far as like how this last 12 years has been like that has changed?
Wow.
Alternatively,
yes,
if you feel like that question in particular was a little bit weirder, like as in like it's a little too like broad, right? I'm happy to go through a more like phasing approach, since there's a very nice like 12-year kind of thing. We can do it by quarters. You want to try doing that? Like let's talk about your first 3 years with Imba, and then like we'll move from like every 3 years, and let's talk about it in chunks.
Oh,
how does that sound like to you?
We could, I guess.
All right, so let's talk about the first 3 years then. Let's talk about the first 3 years.
First 3 years, first 3 years is the hustling period. Trying to build. Are the pictures visible, or is it just?
I can bring it up. Let's bring up the 2016 one. Yeah. So because I saw you having this like building our studio in 2016, complete with a floor plan and recording process and all that stuff.
So 2016 we had enough accumulated enough like savings in a company to start something.
This is after 3 years.
This after 3 years, that's right. Yeah. So that's where we let me see what's in the picture. Yeah, we built a Foley pit in the studio. And then tried to and also a vocal booth, because basically trying to cover all aspects of the business, like music, sound design, voice recording, and then implementation. So this was this process. This definitely a pivoting point for us, because before that we were all working off our home studios, and then I remember Gwen was in a private. She stayed in a private house, so it's much easier to have her address as a business address, and then her room is bigger, and then we actually like did some acoustic treatment in her room, so that so that would be like our main like if we needed to do some voice recording, it's at her place, something like that. So we were running off that setup for our first few years.
I suppose I want to ask at this phase, and this is probably something I should have brought up earlier. I'm assuming that like over the years, changes to your services, the services that you provide has changed over the years. So during these first 3 years, right, like what was the type of like typical services you provide? Because like during at this point, like in 2016, that you built your first Foley pit, you have your first recording studio, that kind of thing, right? Like before this phase, before this studio itself, right? What else? Like what services were you providing like from the very get-go during these first 3 years?
So original music.
So composing and recording
and music production. Okay, I thought something. So music, yes. So music production for games, of course. Then sound effects.
Right.
and voice recording.
Right.
Yeah, so voice recording or voice designer. So if we need to bring in a voice talent, then yes, we need to record them. Yeah. I remember our first few projects where we had to bring in a voice talent was actually, I think it's one of those like a cruise ship, like baccarat games or what.
Oh shit.
And then like they needed Cantonese language. Yeah, so then we got in quite a senior radio DJ.
Wow.
Yeah, who Cantonese. Yeah, and then it was like interesting because they had to record it in a way where every time you deal the cards, right, there's a full sentence to be spoken. And sorry, I don't speak Canto, so I'm not gonna try. Yeah, so like you have to say like blah 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 blah. Then you got this card, this card, this card. So your voice tone, right? Yeah, needs to be consistent. So that they can mix and match the name.
Okay, I hear you.
Or the card. Yeah, to fit in that sentence, and it needs to sound natural. Yeah. So this is something in games that you probably for standard, like if you're recording an audiobook or something like that, you won't have to have all these considerations. Yeah. It's kind of like those sports commentary, those who played FIFA or whatever.
Right. Like the
they
game
always have to say
sports commentary.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's like and pass it to.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then
passing
it
it
has
to
to fit, right? It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
like
Passing it to.
There's like freaking thousands of people in the roster. There cannot be 1,000 lines of and the ball is passed to this, and the voice actor says it 1,000 times. That's crazy, and also takes up a lot of space. So for people who don't know, they actually have to make like sort of put the lines together, and they have to all sound natural tone wise, that it flows. So all these considerations. So that was an interesting project.
So on that note, right? I'm very curious to ask then. On that note, right? Is that done on the actor level, or is that done on a post-processing level, like getting it to sound natural?
Oh no, definitely at the actor level, but we have to brief them. Yeah, and then I was like, wow, because I mentioned this DJ, she's quite senior already, but of course their voice is beautiful, right? It's like yeah, I'm still very envious of voice actors. I'm like, what? Why are you born with such great vocal cords? But anyway, but like but she was really professional. We told her, okay, this needs to be like this, and the way we arrange the script also, has to be logical. And then it has to be done at the actor end. Post-production is really if you really messed up something in the recording, then you might need to go and tweak the pitch and things like that. But we try to avoid that. I
hear you. Right, so that's the first 3 years, right?
Yeah.
So let's go into your second 3 years. So the second 3 years, you have your Foley pits now, you have your recording studio now, you have your recording things. So like, how is the second 3 years like?
Second 3 years, so our office address changed to this new studio, right? I think the changes that happened, we start to add implementation into our services, and try to champion that. We're trying to grow that. Although I wouldn't say it is like most of our clients actually ask us to implement their sounds. Yeah. And then like in the studio, then I think we started to also have interns because there's a proper office and all, right? Yeah. Previously, you talk to the lecturer, you say, the intern is coming to my house. That's definitely a secure. And this was pre-COVID, right? So work from home is not a thing. So that wouldn't be the case in the first 3 years. But after the studio, then we started to have interns. I remember there's one. I don't have a picture here.
I'll fade in the current one because you do have a picture from 2019, so I'll fade in the current one. So this was your team picture in 2019.
I think it's 2019 already, like 3 years later. No, I don't have that. I don't think I sent you that picture. But basically, right, we got an intern who is more of I think he was more of a designer or programmer. Which means more technically capable than us.
Right.
Yeah. We actually went, I think, use some like government sponsored money to go and take Unity classes back then.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're audio people, right?
Right.
You know, and our knowledge of game engine from 2010 is probably outdated. Yeah, so we did things like that to upgrade ourselves. Then, like we even got intern to to go and get into some of the middleware or game engines and teach us actually, which is quite funny, right? We asked an intern to actually teach us more about this software. Yeah, so yeah, I remember we related a story to some people and they were like, huh? Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think for what it's worth, I think that's a great thing for what it's worth. I think being able to have the humility and self-awareness to go like, hey, I need to learn this, I need to know this, and I don't care who's going to be the one who's teaching me, you know, as long as I can learn it, I don't give a shit. And I think that's great.
Yeah. So and so I remember that was that phase where we were trying to grow our capability, you know, and get to know what can be done. And then at that point, I think the team 2013, the team, we had three of us were the core team. Then I think we had some contract help here and there. Yeah. So in 2019, if you see here, we had at least 2 full-timers at that time. Yeah. So
I mean, 2 full-timers in addition to the 3 of you guys.
3 of us, yeah. So there's 5 of us. Yeah. There's us. It's flashed up, right? Yeah.
It's up right now.
That's us in the we did a proper photo shoot for our website and stuff like that, you know. So
that's nice.
Yeah, proper lighting and stuff. So there's it's just us on the Foley pit, yeah. Because I don't know if this is related to audio but it's more of the studio branding. Yeah, if you saw the 2013 picture, right? I have the 2013 Imba Turn 1.
Right.
I don't know if you.
Yeah. Let me just pull it up. Let me just pull it up. Give me a short while. Yeah, I'm just gonna fade out, because I want to try to be professional about this. I'll try to be professional about this. Let's trade that back.
The only way. Yeah. Yes. Wait, this one. Sorry, I misnamed the file, but it's 2014.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah. Then we basically did a 1-year-old birthday party thing. At a friend's condo function room, and then invited all the clients that we had at the time, the friends who supported us in the past year, you know. And you can see the cake there. My mom made those cakes. Anyway, yeah. So we went to that pixel thing, you know, games, right? And we tried to do our logo. Like I said, no money, and we don't know what, right? We just jumped into it. We are all like creatives trying to do a business. Yeah. So, you know, Sharon's like, oh, I have some graphic design thing. I said, yeah, me too, you know. Yeah. And then Gwen also. Yeah. So we just try to come up with like the logo. And then I did the pixel art with IMBA. I don't know if you can find the old logo somewhere else, but that was sort of the theme. And then Gwen came up with the audio people trying to do graphics. Gwen came up with a mascot, you know, and then Sharon tried to do up our website, you know. And then it was fun. Yeah, but a year and 2 later, you know, then we realized, okay, you know, cannot already. Yeah, we gotta have proper branding and things like that, and proper web devs do the thing, you know. So yeah, we got in a team from folks we knew from InZen Studio. Do you know InZen Studio?
Oh no, I'm not familiar with them. Sorry.
It's okay. So anyway, also ex-Gambit people who started a company back then. So so that's the branding we're using now, you know, our logo and all that. So that was a big we were like, okay, yes, we need to outsource whatever we are not good at, you know. That kind of led also to the intern thing, you know. Yeah, because we realized that, yes, you know, we are only good at what we do, so we better keep in our lane and then try and get the professionals in other fields to complement that. You know, that should be the way to do things.
Well, but you've clearly over the years expanded, at least within the first 6 years, expanded what your lane is, right? it definitely sounds like you guys have taken it upon yourselves to basically say, hey, it's not enough that I'm just doing sound. I want to be able to do like things that are directly related to what I'm going to do, kind of thing.
Or you mean like the implementation
Yeah,
stuff?
exactly, right?
Yeah, because in games, if we don't do that, we can't control how the sound will turn out, right?
Right.
So like it's not like I said, it's just not like other mediums like film, right? Yeah, film is like linear medium, so like if you watch A to point B, the same thing, right? Yeah, games, game audio is not the same. Both of us start the game at the same point. 15 minutes later, we're all in different place already, right? So that's what I always tell my students. Like, I'm doing like a game audio 101 class. Yeah, but anyone by telling you, but anyway, I mean, you know this, I'm sure. Yeah.
No, we all do this. We all do this.
Yes. But from the audio point of things, it is really different from the other audio disciplines in that we really have to control when the sound is triggered, how often it's triggered. The mix is dynamic also. It always the proximity and things like that. So there's a lot of parameters we need to control as the sound designer, not just like make a sound and give the control to somebody else on the team. Yeah. So we thought like if we wanted to provide a real solution to the clients, then we have to do end to end. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So that's 2019, right? And then the next quarter is obviously going into the COVID years. So So let's talk 2020, which is COVID years. And then 2020, 2021, 2022. Like how was it for you guys during this time?
Yeah, so like I joked in this post, we went from 1 studio to 6 studios. Yeah, because we all like major expansion. We're all around the island now, like real, because we're all in our homes, right? So it definitely shook things out. I'm sure it affected all those of us in the similar field, yeah, were definitely lost for a bit. Yeah, especially for sound, because like you build a studio because you have soundproof equipment, and like you acoustically treated the whole space.
Yeah.
But then COVID, you can't be next to your colleague. A little bit of a downer. But I think for a lot of people during that period, the whole island was very quiet. At least you got some, like from the hustling and all that, suddenly now we got some like mental space to, think different or whatever, But like what happened then is we had to ship out equipment from the studio to everybody. And then the guy at the bottom right, Elias, is our intern actually.
Oh,
at that
right,
time.
this guy.
And he's from RP.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, he had some of his own gear also. And then, but then we supplemented what he didn't have. And then, we had to ship out what people didn't have to their homes. Yeah, and try our best to work with this kind of remote working environment.
I'm curious to ask then, because because a lot of the clients that you've had obviously were from like a lot of networking and situations like that, right? Like you have to meet face to face and all that kind of stuff. So during 2020, 2021 and 2022, right? Like how did you get any new clients, or is this just purely existing clients? How was the business like at this time?
Wow, man, I can't give you a fixed answer, but roughly, right? Yes, I mean, because game development right? Okay, the size of our games that we work on get larger and larger over time, right? And if like a project really needed our implementation help, it's probably a game that at least got 6 months dev cycle for the audio side only, right? At least around counting. So, I mean, the games we work on now takes like years, right? So, the moment we hit COVID, of course we had to have all these structure changes, but the projects are still there. So a lot of it were existing clients. We weren't impacted that much. But networking side, all the events kind of went online also.
Obviously, right?
Yeah, right. So we, in some sense, it was not a bad thing. We were able to attend some like US conference on equal ground with everyone, right, because everyone was online. Yeah. So there was some good exposure there. Yeah. Even like those there are some game audio cons, that became fully online. I mean, now it's back to in person.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh yeah. You mean game audio cons?
Yeah.
Yeah. So game sound con, I think, is one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
So yeah, game sound con was online one year. I remember I was like, but I had to stay up during US work US hours. So it's like, wow, that time I still younger lah. I can now I can't really. but yeah, I remember sleeping in the studio and all that just to watch some of the talks live, and we can ask them questions and things like that.
That's kind of
so
cool.
a lot. Yeah, and let me think, what else is there to highlight? Yeah. Also, like, okay, the studio is still there, but only one person can be in there at any one time, right? Yeah, so that person happened to be me. Yeah, so the workflow had to change. Like if we need to do any like sound recording stuff, then maybe I had to do it and send it over, that kind of things. Like if I needed anyone needed props from the studio or like really needed the sound, like something to be recorded in an acoustically treated space, that had to outsource to me, that kind of thing, and I'll send them over. Yeah. So there was definitely some change in that. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I've had a number of people on this show in the last few years, but like I feel very rarely we've ever had a chance to really talk about how COVID really affected their work. Like it's rare. I know it's weird if you think about it. Like, hey, it was a big deal for a lot of us, and it should be a little bit something that it should be more like spoken about. But the truth of it is like, for a lot of like the subjects that we've talked about, like, or rather I've had on the show, right? A lot of them aren't necessarily business owners, and a lot of them are people who are like, freelance creatives and stuff like that. And COVID being COVID was something that, I don't know, I feel like the conversation very often when we are talking about it was always something that we sort of like skim past, like we just flew past. Whether it's because it's a topic that we didn't really want to talk about too much, or we felt like there wasn't too much to talk about, I can't say for sure. But like specifically, since we're talking about your studio and we're talking about in chunks of 3, COVID in particular does stand out a little bit, and I cannot imagine, especially like since we're talking about it, it never hit me how close the space, right, between like you getting your own studio to like you having like the full-time team photo shoot with like 5 people, and then like the next year, immediately dropping into COVID kind of thing.
Yeah. Really had to adapt. We were in office before COVID hit, right? The circuit breaker stuff. It was like we go lunch every day in person together. Sometimes we stay back, play games, play movies, watch movies together. Yeah, that kind of thing in the studio. So from that suddenly, and sometimes with Foley sessions, you need 2 or 3 people using like large props. Then like we can't do that anymore. Quite but forced to adapt lah, for better or worse, so definitely after that it changed a lot of our operations, because people just got very comfortable working from home and things like that.
So I guess the question then becomes, like, even post-COVID, has it never went back? Like, is it maintained mostly like COVID-like setup and stuff like that? How has the...
We kind of it became a hybrid thing, sort of. Yeah. So since we kind of shipped equipment out to everyone, there are some of my staff, then they end up building studios in their own homes. Yeah, and then then it became good enough to carry out maybe like a good 80% of work there. Right, because we have to stay efficient during the COVID period. So it got so good to the point, and then we actually sponsored some of the acoustic treatment. Back then, something like that lah. And we make sure that everyone was well equipped in their space. Of course, everyone's role is slightly different. Let's say if you're a technical sound designer, you might not need a acoustically treated space because you rarely record anything.
Right.
Yeah. So what you need is a good set of speakers and headphones. That's more important. So you still can do at home, right? Yeah. You need a powerful PC and things like that lah. Yeah. So of course it's nice to everyone be in the studio because in studio sometimes what we can do is we play the game live, right? We're mixing it live. Yeah. Usually what we do, there are some games that were launched during COVID period. So if you compare, there was one game, Masquerada, that time, local game, launched before COVID. What we did for the final master for the game is we actually play through the whole game. One person playing, one person mixing, two people who didn't really work on the game, neutral ears, feedback. Oh, this sounds bad, and then all in the same studio using the same speakers. Yeah, but then some games came out during COVID, so it was a bit difficult. And then the game had surround audio.
Right.
Only the studio has surround audio. I mean, whose house will suddenly have a surround professional, not just a home theater, Yeah.
Okay, so it's 4D, like the 4-speaker one, full surround kind of thing, is it?
Yeah, 5.1 or 7.1. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, yeah.
Correct.
I will concede that not many houses would have that.
Yeah. I mean, people just do headphones around nowadays, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, we are doing mastering for a final product, so we definitely need to. Even though it's how many % of users, we still need to make sure.
Yeah. That is the standard that you have to live up to, right?
Correct. Right. So.
It's funny that you mentioned that, by the way. As a game designer, right? I've often been faced with very simple, very blunt questions where it's like, hey, you go through so much trouble trying to figure out how to get target the work for this specific, find balancing or find puzzles or find difficulties and ways, right, that specifically target this 10% of players, right? And that question gets tossed around a lot because it takes a lot of effort to get to that 10%, that extra 10% polish. And very often, people ask, do players even care? Do players even see it? How many players do actually care? I feel like I've always felt like that approach towards quantifying the effort put in, right? Is a little disingenuous in our craft. I feel, very honestly.
Yep.
Because what happens is that first, I feel like it should always be in our nature, right, to try and one up ourselves, just try and do a little bit better, just a little bit better, that kind of thing. That's one thing.
Of course,
and then the second thing is that I feel like the fact that you try, even if you cannot get to that 10%, right, even if you get only 3 of that 10%, right, I feel like the players can feel it. But even if it's not them who really plays it to that level, they can feel it they can feel it, that 3% extra that you're trying to achieve, or 7% extra that you're trying to achieve, right? They can actually feel it and go, oh, I can see it being something that can almost reach, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And I think that level of finesse is always something that players sometimes might not even be a conscious thing, but at some level they can vibe with it and they can feel it and they will oh yeah, it's there kind of thing. And there's also
absolutely.
And that's also why when live service games, especially when they suddenly pivot or shift or drop the ball on some of these things, right, when they don't perform up to that standard, right, players will similarly start feeling it a bit, right?
Yeah. And you say oh, why you do it for just this 10%, but how do you know it's just 10%? You never, anyway, in this day and age, it's suddenly one small thing becomes viral or whatever.
Right.
Everyone wants to try that feature suddenly, or
it's funny, but that's exactly it, right? The fact that the feature exists can sometimes create this sense of awe and curiosity that makes them go like, they might not be actually experiencing it to the fullest, but it opens a space for them to go, hey, I'm curious, I want to know more. And to put it very bluntly, that's what marketing is, right? Like, it's about trying to create, some level of curiosity for them to want to explore and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes every bit of these kind of help. That's at least how I like
correct.
it too.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not worth me working this feature, then I'll ask, then why is the feature in the first place?
Right.
Right. If you put it in, then you do it all the way already. Don't.
Anything worth doing is worth doing well, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's my dad always said.
Yeah. So where were we about the?
well, we were talking about COVID, so I wanted to talk so basically we've gone into the last quarter, which is the last 3 years, right? And like, because you are talking about like post-COVID, how things have changed and how you've helped a lot of your employees like basically sound treat their own place and like transferred out a lot of equipment. So a lot of people are used to working hybrid now. And what it does sound like is that the studio that you guys have designed and built now isn't really as used as before. Most people work from home first, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not as crowded as before, Yeah. But we'll do virtual. We'll still sometimes meet in person. Either at the studio or just outside for meals. Yeah. And we made it a point to do a bit more retreats also. Yeah, because you don't see face to face. Yeah. So I think I have some picture of that. Is it?
I think so. Let me. The 23 one, is it?
2023 Imba Jan retreat.
Let me try and pull that one. This one. Yeah, let me just pull it up. There we go.
Yeah. So the team grew a bit. Yeah. Okay.
a bit. Just a bit.
Yep. So this was in January 2023. So almost 3 years ago, or 2.5 years ago. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So at least we try and make it a point, to meet some of our. I mean, also after so many years, life, right? Yeah. So some of us don't reside in Singapore or all the time in Singapore. Yeah. So that all these sort of alternative work arrangements, flexible work arrangements also come into place. So whatever we got used in COVID, some of it are actually helpful. And then we just have to adapt and change our roles and and make it work lah. Yeah. So that's how it's been for the last couple of years. Yeah. Like, I mean, this place now is my house, right? It's this. I mean, this room is only 2 years old. I also shifted and things like that. So I have my own studio here lah. Yeah, but still have the office. Yep.
Okay. So we're all caught up to modern day. I don't have any questions from like the public. But I do. But this is a very weird and unique case. So I found out a little bit like through the process of me preparing to stream and all these kind of things, and I suspect this happens to anyone who actually like tries to get into streaming and shit, like really geek out on streaming and stuff like that. At some point, you get a little geeky with your equipment. I feel like everyone does at some level.
Right.
So I think I want to do something that's a bit unusual. I really have never done this with any guest before, so congratulations, you're going to be my guinea pig, Jeremy. But I want to ask you, as a sound guy, right? Like I want to ask you, your opinions on certain equipment, and I want you to also at the same time explain why. All right?
Okay.
All right. So like just now earlier, like let's do a quick one and the easy one, low-hanging fruit once again, right? Earlier I mentioned about like how I did a bit of research on like dynamic mics and compressor mics, right? Right. So as a sound guy, dynamic versus compressor mics, go.
Okay. Condenser, you mean?
Yeah, condenser. Sorry, I said compressor, didn't I? My bad. Sorry, condenser. Sorry, condenser versus dynamic mics. Go.
Okay, so condenser mics generally are more sensitive.
Right.
Yeah. And actually, condenser mics, there's a lot of subcategories. Normally for voice, you want something called like a large diaphragm condenser.
Ooh.
Yeah. Where most of the time you can physically see the diaphragm. It's about usually an inch in diameter. Yeah, but there are also small.
Right. So that's my 80,
Yeah, your 80, 20, 20 there, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a large diaphragm condenser. Yeah. If you shine a flashlight through it, you can probably see a circle.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So a large diaphragm condenser is more more sensitive and more sort of like a full range in picking up all frequencies. Okay, it's usually used in studio. I mean, that was the main, applications in actually sound treated spaces. Yeah, so it has a more faithful representation of the sound source. Yeah. And then I don't know if I need to get into this, but it needs phantom power and things like that, right? Yeah,
if you want to go ahead, I will leave it
to you.
Important,
that's not important for general listeners.
Yeah.
Okay, so dynamic mics is usually more sturdy. Yeah, and then but they are usually I say usually used for like live applications. Yeah, like people MC events, radio DJ, because they need to move the mic a lot, or it might even drop, right, sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. So dynamic mics, right, technology wise, they are just like speakers but reverse. Yeah. Yeah. So instead of sound waves outputting through the cone, it's actually a cone that picks up vibration, translate to electrical signal, whatever. There's actually a moving cone.
This is your physics, A-level physics working here.
Sure. Actually, it's not, but anyway. But yeah. So dynamic mics tend to be have like their sweet frequency range, and like I think they are also usually a bit more directional in some sense.
Dynamic mics specifically, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, let's say if your space is untreated, maybe a dynamic mic is more suited lah. Yeah. But I mean, you are using a condenser now.
I am,
and a lot of people do. Yeah, because in a sense, you actually have quite a controlled environment there, right? Yeah. I mean, if you have a lot of background noise, then unlikely, like you should not. I mean, the funny thing now is we have so much software technology that people go like, oh, I can just use background noise reduction, right? Yeah. But as like if you talk to a purist, then you'll be like, oh no. Then what's the point? You pick out the fidelity, you take out with the digital processing. Yeah. So if you can get you get really deep.
Oh, sorry.
That. Yeah.
Give me a second. I just realized I haven't swapped back the pictures. So.
Oh sure. Yeah.
No, I swapped out just put our heads a little bit more. So this makes a little bit more sense, because whatever we're talking about has no context with
the pitch.
Yeah. So we should have swapped back.
Yes.
So my bad. I'm sorry. I've clearly been doing this a while. Anyway. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, but yeah. Very curious. Okay. So by the way, like I should probably point out that this debate over condenser versus dynamic is something that like when I first decided on buying a microphone for myself, like when I first started deciding and like I want to get a proper mic for myself to do streaming and shit, I made the mistake of thinking exactly that, which is, let me get a condenser, get all the fidelity, and then think to myself like, oh yeah, I'll clean it up after. Right. And the problem with that thinking, and I want to highlight for those who are actually like going like, for some reason you're watching this live stream with a sound guy, and we're talking about like you come to this segment and expecting to hear microphone advice for some reason, right? I will tell you that if you're going to be doing a podcast, if you're doing a live stream, go with a dynamic, because you do not need a condenser mic.
Yeah. There's a lot of very, very affordable ones now because of the whole trend of podcasting.
Great.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And the reason why you don't need a condenser is actually very, very simple. Is because and this is the silly part of it all, right? Because condensers pick up everything, right? As Jeremy puts it, like condensers pick up everything, you get a full recommendation. This means, right, if you have a fan that's cooling your CPU and shit like that, it's gonna pick up that fan. You know?
Yeah.
And if you depend on a device to remove the sound of that fan from your background, two things. One, if your fan is loud, good luck. Secondly, it really depends on how good your hearing is. And Jeremy knows this about me because I've visited his studio before. The fact is, my ears can tell the difference. Like, I can hear the artifacts in my own voice when it tries to remove the sound of like the background noise and all that kind of stuff, and it irritates me like crazy.
Yeah, because sounds like fan and background noise tend to be what we call like broadband. You know, like close to white noise. I mean, it's not lah, but you can imagine. Yeah, so when they try to subtract that away, it's going to remove part of your voice. Yeah, you know, that's the thing behind it. And actually, human voice is actually a very limited range. You know, so the important data is only within like a few thousand hertz out of our 20,000 hertz audible, you know, human hearing range. So actually, a dynamic is good for that.
See what I mean?
So that's
what I mean.
Yeah, that's the way to view. Yeah.
See what I mean? This is sound engineer approved philosophy when it comes to picking up your mics, man.
But condenser is good too. You can use it for multiple applications.
I could absolutely do this for multiple applications. But this is basically saying, right, it's basically right saying like I want to go picnic, and I want to keep my food cold, right? I bring my refrigerator. This is effectively what I'm doing, you know.
Works too.
It works, I guess, you know. But like, do I really? Not really. You don't really need to do this, right? Okay, so that's question number one. Question number two.
Okay.
Question number two. And this is the part where it starts having I have less of an opinion. Okay. Right.
Okay.
So question number two. Close or open back mics? I think the term is open back, right? Is it open back?
The headphones.
Yeah, headphones. Is it open back? Is it open back?
Yes, open back.
Yeah, so
close back,
open or close back headphones. For those who have
it really depends. If you are using, okay, I mean, need to recognize two things, right? Open back headphones, people can hear what you're hearing. Yeah. So, you know, the leakage is because here is like they're just grills. You kind of can hear the sound a little bit. So if you intend to use in a library or some quiet space that you can't distract other people, then open back is out of the picture. Yeah, likewise you can also hear stuff from the outside. Yeah, but the whole point of open back headphones is for a more faithful stereo imaging. Really good open back can even make like sometimes feel like, wow, it's like almost like speakers. Although not exactly the same, because normally speakers are in front of you, and then headphones are like right here, like 180 degree, you know. But nowadays, of course, I know some people must be like, hey, but got virtual imaging now. Hey, my AirPods can do it. Make it sound like it's up front. Okay. Those are digital manipulation. They always alter the original. So, but we're not talking about that. Yeah. So open back is for if you are like usually like if you want to listen, you know, enjoy your music, and if the soundstage feels more wide, but you need it on headphones. Yeah, you're in a room alone, like we are right now. So then you can get the open back headphones. But I think most applications close back is definitely more versatile. Like let's say you're using it for monitoring in a recording studio, or you yourself want to record something and you want to monitor it back. You can't be using open back because the audio leaks back and into the mic. Yeah, so that's not good. Yeah. So I think like most applications, close back is the way to go. Yeah. Open back has a very specific use case. Yeah.
By the way, I'm only doing this partially because I feel like these kind of things, especially for people who are like new to audio equipment and shit, like you probably wouldn't know. and this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I can really geek out with you over these kind of things. So like I'm just gonna do this for the like it's a rare chance, you know?
Sure.
All right. So
Yeah.
so funny that you should
Mm.
mention that. Question number 3. Favorite brand of headphones and mics.
Favorite brand? Wow.
And I need to have a why. I need to have a why.
Why?
Okay, let me maybe that might be a tough one. Let me try and frame it back a little bit. All right. Let's go by purpose case first. Use purpose case first. All right.
Yes.
For musicians, since you've done music and you've done a lot of bands and jazz and all that kind of stuff. For musicians, what would be your recommended best in slot for microphone for recording, instruments? I want to use instruments as a guideline, and headphones for monitoring purposes.
Wow, this makes it harder actually.
Oh, is it?
I mean, if you say best, like
best in slot,
you mean like absolute best or like
that you have experienced?
What I like to recommend.
Like that you have experienced. I think I need to narrow it down. I feel like because theoretical best is very like whatever is in the price range kind of thing. I feel like in order to make it more reasonable,
I'll just say
like,
you buy the most expensive things that you can afford. Yeah, but
let's talk about based on your experience. Like, what have you experienced, and what do you think is best in slot for instrument recording and headphone, like and monitoring for musicians?
Wow. Instrument recording is not I can't answer that question because you record different instruments differently with different microphones and miking techniques.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. But I can talk about some favorite mics that I use.
Okay.
I used the AKG C414. Yeah, XLS model. Like I don't even know people know what I'm talking about, except those who are in the.
No, but that's kind of the point, because I mean, let's be educational about it, right? Let's talk about it. So what is this mic, like what is this model specifically used for that you feel like it's best in slot for?
Yeah, I think that mic, by the way, costs about 1,500 plus minus Singapore dollars. Yeah. Of course you can go higher than that actually. Just to me, it's just a versatile microphone. I think it's widely agreed, not just by me, industry wise. So they come with 2 variants, XL2 and XLS. Yeah, XLS has a more flatter response. XL2 is more for vocal recordings. They sound nicer on vocals. Yeah, they boost certain frequencies. So if you do like pop vocals or whatnot, or female vocals, it will make your voice a bit more present and things like
that. Nice.
Add some character. So that's the thing with analog gear. Like people have preferences because they do different things to the sound. There's technically no hardware that gives you scientific flat sound. Okay, there's even if it did, you might not like sound. So there's no such thing, and physics not possible. So yeah. So anyway, I like that mic just cause like I think it's in that nice price range where and you can change the pickup pattern for the mic for like there's like all the in between, anything from one directional to omni to figure 8, which is great for us. Sometimes if you just have one mic, pick up sounds from both sides. You just put one between the two guys. Very ghetto. Yeah, kind of thing. Yeah, it's used for other purposes lah. But I don't need to deep dive into all of that. But like, to me, just a mic that I'm fond of. Yeah. Maybe because I also used it in school. I don't know. Sometimes.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
The gear that you use in school. Then you kind of like, you kind of gravitate to it or somehow. Yeah.
No. I completely get you. I like for me, I used to be a huge simp for New Balance, the shoes. I know this is not audio gear, like New Balance. I used to be a huge simp for like New Balance.
Wow.
Yeah, because what happened was in secondary school, I used to run long distance. I'm not that great, by the way, but like decent. Like my best time was like 7 kilometers in half an hour. Like that was my best time. Never ran full marathons before, but like So, but because I kept running like long distance and a lot of that kind of stuff, like when equipment doesn't last long, it became very expensive for me. And New Balance was the only pair of shoes that lasted long for me. Like I could actively wear it for at least a good year before I needed to change something. At one point I bought a pair of Nikes and like it was just horrible for me because like midway through the like after like I think 3 or 6 months, the shoe started talking to me.
Right, crocodile.
Yeah, exactly, right. So and I found out it's because like Nike at the time, or the pair that I got, right, like they use glue only. And so with the heat and the repeated use, eventually the glue just, started splitting. The New Balance, on the other hand, they had like properly stitched shoes, so it doesn't break unless the stitching breaks, which was pretty hard. Like by that time, your shoe's actually breaking already. That was like, I used to be a huge New Balance guy, and I was until very recently as well. Very recently, I only became less of a New Balance guy because I discovered Brooks. Yeah, and it's also partially because it's very hard to find New Balance sports here in Singapore.
Oh.
Yeah, because New Balance has a casual line, and then there's a sports line, and New Balance Sports is where you get the running shoes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I have a flat foot, that's why I like New Balance, because New Balance has arches. But even that nowadays is pretty hard to find. Like even New Balance have sort of felt like, I think that market is harder and harder to come by, and like I guess maybe most people don't recognize New Balance for the arch support as much anymore.
Yeah. Got la, our S.E.A.
Oh, great! I think that's great, but like,
you know the two brands that you mentioned, right? Yeah. New Balance and Brooks.
Yeah.
Are like the brands in the army store.
Oh, really?
All our army issued sports shoes all this time has been New Balance. Yeah, because they have flat foot models and things like that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, but that's exactly why I like New Balance, because my foot shape is also kind of weird, and the flat foot doesn't help. So New Balance was always a good one, because New Balance actually has like wide. They recognize like wide and narrow feet like models.
Yeah.
So the fact that they recognize it means that they have products that specifically target for that. And if you get the right pair of shoes, it feels very different. It feels significantly different. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, and that's also why like I'm geeking out with you over like audio equipment and shit, because it's nice to know.
Okay.
Purpose driven. Okay, so we go into let's go into a third one, and I think this one's a less of a thing, but I'm curious.
I've answered your music headphones question, right?
Oh yeah.
You brought up microphone.
Yeah, correct. I'm sorry. Yes, thank you for bringing it up. Let's go into headphones.
Okay, I mean, for anyone who maybe wanted my answer.
Yeah, let's go with that. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I just got this pair here, but I haven't opened it, but I believe it's good. Yeah, it's a ATHR70X. Now I'm like doing product placement. It's totally not sponsored. No.
I look, guys, whoever is like AT, if you're somehow watching this show and you feel like you want to sponsor me, I'm very happy with that. But at this point,
I just was happened to be here. Yeah. I got this not too long.
It's an AT, right? It's an AT.
ATHR70X. This is an open bag, no?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, nice. I haven't even opened it. But like this, like we kind of agreed in Imba also that like this had a sweet price point. Yeah, for how it sounded. For music listening and mixing.
That's nice.
Yeah, this is their old gen model actually. Now they got this R70, don't know what, something at the end, right? Yeah, but it became very expensive. Then the old model was on discount, so.
Just so you know, I actually bought. So right now I'm using a XLR, AT2020 XLR, but this is not my mic. I bought a USB one. My original one is a USB one. Is it USB or USB-C? Can't remember anymore.
Yeah, the same.
Oh no, it's different because I think the USB-C has slightly better sound actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm actually going to ask you about this as well, but this is from my experience, because USB's contact is not as good. So USB-Cs tend to have slightly better sound because not only is the power output more stable, the contact is better. So generally, like the sound quality for USB-C versus USB, right, is usually slightly better.
Oh, I had no idea. Yeah, in my mind, Yeah,
Yeah, very,
my
very
USB
constructive.
mics. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but so what I was gonna say was that so the reason why I brought up AT, I was like very curious whether it was AT and all that kind of stuff, is because I used to almost joke about how this stream is supported by AT, because my headphones are AT.
Right.
My
Yeah.
headphones are AT. My mic is AT. Huh?
Is your headphones M50?
Yeah, it's the M50. But this is
Yeah, all right.
this is the M50, like the pure, like I cannot Wi-Fi this M50. Like it's the old M50.
Oh yeah.
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 This is the pure corded M50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not the X model, is it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Okay.
this is a little bit cheaper, and AT does this thing where they, whenever the new ones come out, like they would have like the old stuff like drop in price. So
Yeah.
my mic, right, the AT 2020's market price is about 250. I got it at 150. Like they had a promo at the time because the C, which is the USB-C model, came out, and I had
Right.
at $100 discount, so like the promo price was 150. And then at the time, my office at the time had birthday vouchers of $100. So I used that. So like out of pocket, I only actually paid $50.
Noise. Yep.
I was like
Good-
so
good-
happy
good
when
deal.
I bought it.
Yeah, man.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So AT is the one to go.
I mean, if you are a beginner, trying to
mean,
get into, want to get a good pair of headphones, I think you can't go wrong with Audio Technica. Yeah.
I'm curious
mean-
then, like, because speaking from personal experience, and because once again I've tested out a bunch of equipment before, right? Like I do feel Sennheiser does deliver a more solid sound. I want to say solid. It's not sharper. It's more solid. Is the best way I'm going to describe it.
Right.
Is that like how where I guess where I'm going with this, like, at least for a non-consumer like you, because you're in sound engineering, and for
Right.
those who are not familiar with the idea, like the neutrality of sound matters, right? So so I know for the fact that AT and Audio Technica's headphones in particular tend to be more neutral sounding. Does this mean
not
like,
really?
oh no, it doesn't. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but anyway, sorry, you just.
Oh no.
Go ahead.
I do want to hear like what would be more neutral sounding, and because where I was going with was really just purely about trying to understand, like, okay, does this mean like equipment like Sennheiser and all that, right, wouldn't be, at least for you, your first choice and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, Sennheiser, there's one particular model that I'll use for in-studio recording for HD280. Yeah, so that is a model that has very good sound isolation. So in the vocal booth, right, I don't want any audio going into their ears to leak back into the microphone.
Right.
So I would go for that model for like in-studio use. Plus, I think it's the other than the isolation, the sound itself, yeah, it's pretty versatile also. Yeah.
Okay, so you've used that term a number of times, so I do want to ask, when you say versatile, what do you mean? Could you elaborate?
Good for multiple genres of music, things like that, like for maybe even for watching movies or gaming. Yeah, like the sound signature, every headphone is biased one. Yeah, it's just whether you like, you heard the terms like bass head.
Yeah.
People like heavy bass, you know. Yeah, so I mean that's what all those shops do, right? You have to try out, and then and then get the headphones you like. So there's really no, like, I know when people get into like professional audio or what, they will, wow, which headphone is the most flat, like, seriously, yes, okay, you can get close to it, or what sounds neutral to you might not sound neutral to me. Plus there's so many factors in our hearing, like someone who's aging wouldn't hear high frequencies as prominent as a young person. So as I hit my 30s, I found like I'm a treble head, because maybe I'm losing my treble hearing. I don't know. Yeah, so it's hard. Yeah, all I'm saying is, you can read an article, but like, the person, of course, the headphones website tend to do like measurements and things like that. But like, if you Yeah, if you like if you talk about from the relative point of view, like, you know, that reviewer is a certain age, a certain preference, you know, but for you it might be different. So, you know, there's no, what's that word, there's no gold standard, or like, oh wow, this is the flattest headphone on earth, or what. Yeah, I mean, you want silence or whatever, you go to an anechoic chamber, but there's no way you will go crazy inside. You know.
So
Yeah.
here's a funny story that I've always wanted to share, and I've never had a chance to. I've had the privilege of entering Larian Studios in KL before, like as in I've been to the offices once. Had the privilege of doing that, and at the time, they actually soundproofed their meeting room, and I don't know what happened, but I feel like their contractor kind of overdid it. Cause
too dry, right?
like you know that feeling when you get into a sound like the sound recording, like voice recording studios, and where it's so empty you can hear your own humming of your own eardrums.
Yeah, too much already. Yeah.
Like,
you need some liveness in the room for at least you will project a voice naturally, you know.
so I went in. I'll be honest with you, I loved it because like, given the kind of shit, like as I said, like because I can hear the differences in my voice and all that kind of stuff, like, and being like having streamed for a while, it's always this massive fantasy in my head of having like, oh, my own sound treated space to, like, you know, fucking work from and shit, you know, like going in there.
How long were you in the room for?
I was in there for like a few hours and I was very comfortable.
Wow.
I had no
problems. Okay, then maybe it's not that bad.
No. I think like they told me at the time when I bumped in, when I was talking to them, right, some of them, right, cannot stand like too long, like even
uncomfortable, is it?
They get uncomfortable. Yeah. I on the other hand was like, I dig this shit. Like the nerd in me was just like, I totally dig this shit.
Which is what my point, right? Like all these are all relative, right? All our ears are different. Yeah. So it's really hard to.
Right. And what you like can be also coming from a very weird place as well. I think I was coming from a very weird place, to be fair. Because I think I was conditioned to like that bullshit, which is not normal.
I think I would be okay in that room also, because I mean, as sound people, we are so used to being in like a vocal booth, you know, like so it would be okay. But I think for general people, when they walk in a small vocal booth, they're like, whoa.
Yeah, you would feel a little uncomfortable, I think.
Yeah.
On a side note, like I've always now that I'm actually looking for my I sort of started looking for my own place, and I've got my own place, and we're starting to like think about renovations and shit like that. One of the things that I've promised myself, unfortunately, is that I will not be doing any like crazy sound treating for my space, because I can't stand the idea of cleaning the walls. Because you're going to have to fabric cover everything, because it's the only way.
Yeah, that's a bit of a worry now, whether
right?
It's true.
Yeah, and Singapore gets really dusty. So
fabric wall. I also was like having second thoughts about that. Yeah.
So it's definitely on my mind a lot, and I was like, I'm probably not gonna do it.
Yeah. Although I have a tip that I would, which I didn't do, I regretted. False ceiling, right? Ask them to put rock wool inside.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah, it's not a typical process, because most contractors won't do it for most people.
Hollow,
but
right?
if you are not the top floor, okay, there's someone above you, and their footsteps are loud, right?
Oh yeah.
If you do a false ceiling with hollow in between, it's like a drum. It actually makes it louder.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so the way to counter that is actually put some sound absorbent thing in that area.
Renovation tips from a sound guy for like those who are, looking to do your next place as well.
I missed it out in my living room, but it's okay. Lucky I have okay neighbors. But you never know, right? Yeah. Right. So if you want to be extra safe, then
Right. Okay. So we've touched on mics, we've touched on headphones.
Yes.
I don't really want to touch on speakers because now I have to ask, like, are speakers still a thing nowadays? Because I feel like less and less people use speakers nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, even for games, like yeah, definitely we want to test more on headphones. Yeah, but no, speakers are still important. Yeah,
Okay.
especially if we do music. Yeah, because music more chance to play at live venues also.
Right.
Yeah, important lah. Like you do movies also, what? You don't stop into you go to a cinema watching it on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Your headphones very rarely.
Yeah, but the reason why I say that is because like I feel like and I think I might be wrong, obviously, but like I feel like the vast majority of people who play games nowadays do it in a place where they would have like earphones or earbuds on and stuff like that, and so much of the gaming experience at least becomes very private and very personal, and it's not like, oh, I'm going to do it in this open wide space anymore. Even people who game from PlayStations and stuff like that often would have headphones, you know.
Yep. For sure. I think the last I read those like industry survey, definitely like 80 to 90% of people who consume games headphones. Yep.
Okay.
Hello.
Cool. Hey, Zitian.
What?
Zitian is in the chat right now.
Hi, folks.
Hi.
What's up?
Anyway, okay, so we've touched on microphones, we've touched on headphones. I'm curious then, for you guys, especially because you have done implementation for audio. I think it's important to ask the question then is like Unity and Unreal. How is it different for you guys? Which one feels better? Which one is there a pro and con between the two for you guys?
There is. So well, either way we wouldn't opt for either engines built in. We will normally try and use audio middleware.
Oh, okay.
Whether F-Mod or Wise. Yeah, because F-Mod and Wise, we will take over the audio engine of the game engine. And then we have actually authoring software on our end. Yeah, that is not code. And then it will export sound banks and then we will bring it into the engine. There's a lot more flexibility that way. Of course you can script in. So I mean, if you go back to Unity 4, there was not much features except the audio source thing, and then like anything else, your sound engine behavior need to be in a C# script. But ever since Unity 5 and all now they're all version by years, right? If you talk about the engine itself, Unity's thing is a bit more. They've evolved to a point where they have mixers, and you can do a custom mix from one place to another, and then you change in between.
So basically, you can inside a map in Unity, you can make it so that your mixer actually changes settings as you transit from one area of the level to the other. All right,
it's like tweening, but audio version.
Ooh.
Right. Yeah, but here like the ambience is louder. Right here, another ambience is louder, or hear something more in the foreground. You can do that for a long time already in Unity. So that was intuitive. I mean, there's that. Although I haven't really touched Unity audio stuff in a long time, but anything more outside of their, like, of course you can do like this sound is 2D or 3D. You can change the spatial mix and things like that. But you have to. But the thing is, you still have to work on the level files itself directly, more or less. So you still run the risk of like, messing with like if you're working on that level and then someone has to check it out first. Things like that. So if you use the in-engine, like Unity's a native audio engine, it's still gonna run into that kind of problem. But Unity, I think, is okay. It's got to a point where you can use it on its own if you don't want to use middleware. But still, for the sound designers are a bit what do you call it, leceh lah. And you need some C# thing lah to do slightly more advanced things.
Okay. So basically the middleware helps like bridge a lot of this sort of essentially like accessibility issues lah.
and a lot more flexibility with the design.
Okay.
Yeah. And then okay, I think one big thing maybe is I don't think Unity up to today has like BPM awareness.
Oh.
Yeah. So you can play a music, you can loop the music, but if you don't code it in yourself, there's no like this is beat 1, bar 4, beat 3. Whereas in the middleware and Fmod and Wise, right, you actually can assign like, this music, you can define this is a certain beat. I want the music to transit on, every 2 bars only, or like only on the downbeat of every 2 bars, or every down. I don't think any of the game engines can bother to put that because it's not really a core thing as a game engine, right?
I suppose. I
mean,
Like so I would assume with Unity being being supported with as many plugins as it is, right? Like I would have assumed someone would have made one. Yeah,
there are sort of I think there's one called Master Audio or something. But you still have to be work within Unity. Whereas middleware, you kind of just hook. We get the programmers to just hook this to this. Sometimes we also do the animation hooks ourselves. Then on the middleware authoring side, we don't need to worry about clashing, because once the hook is done, the event we create on our audio middleware side, then it's much more cleaner, straightforward, and we can achieve a lot more from the audio mix side as well.
Interesting.
Quite technical things. I don't know how to simplify it but yeah.
That's great. Like, look,
yes.
Like, if you can't simplify it, just drop it, because as far as I'm concerned, right, like for those who are interested in this level of stuff, it always is useful. If you don't understand it, go look it up. I'm gonna Google a bunch of things after this.
Yeah. Unreal now has meta sounds. We tried looking into it. So far, I think it's a cool thing. With they use blue. You can kind of create a custom behavior with blueprints. Yeah, but I don't think it really completely like it's not a solution for everything. Yeah, unless you're very good with blueprints and you can also script a little bit.
So it does still, I mean, to be fair, Unreal is kind of like that, right? Like for anyone, it's always been this engine that is like, okay, hey, if you're good with blueprints, if you've got some foundation in programming and stuff like that, like Unreal is the engine to use.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, as a sound designer, if you're not a technical sound designer, I think you just use a middleware. Yeah, but the tricky part about that with commercial projects is middleware got licensing costs. Yeah. And since we're on the topic, I would say Fmod is definitely more indie friendly. Yeah. Because Wise, once you pass a certain threshold, they charge per platform. I don't know if they change their pricing structure. They constantly evolve. Yeah.
Very curious.
And the front end, the user interface is also more friendly in Fmod. It's closer to a DAW, a digital audio workstation kind of program.
Nice.
Yeah.
By the way, in case it's not obvious, I have no idea what Jeremy is talking about. So, like, I'm literally
I'm assuming whoever is interested in this would know more or less.
You guys need to filter, man. Like, if he is bullshitting me, I need you guys to like just drop it in the comments, man. like I will depend on whoever's watching, right, to just call him out if you need to. Like,
please do.
Yeah, because at some point, like I'm. You know what would be coolest? You know what would be the most regrettable thing? That whatever you're saying right now is still valid 10 years from now. Like, I want someone in the comments 10 years from now, right, to leave a comment going like, this information is freaking out of date. This is what you should be doing right now. Like, I would love that. I would personally love that. You know?
Yeah. Pretty sure 10 years from now, the game engines will be good enough. I don't know.
For all you know, right, like 3 years from now, right, Unity buys Fmod.
Yeah. Actually, I think, if I'm not wrong, already part of their audio code inside, right, is actually inherited from Fmod or licensed. Yeah. I might be wrong, yeah. But I think I remember reading that somewhere.
Fascinating. So yeah, You see, right? This kind of things can happen, right? It's like
Yep.
how Adobe bought, was it Flash? I think, yeah, Adobe bought Flash, right?
Adobe bought Flash.
Yeah. So Adobe, when they first
Oh, Macromedia.
yeah, correct. Because when Flash first
Right.
came out, it was called Macromedia. Then Adobe bought them
Yeah,
over and became Adobe Flash Macromedia.
that's right.
And then
That's right.
then they let Flash die. Like, I mean, I'm not going to be very generous about it. If
Yep.
anyone from Adobe wants to come on and like correct me and set the record straight, please, by all means, I don't mind doing a segment. But like, as far as I understand it, was that, hey, like, it wasn't doing its thing, and like Adobe just decided, I guess you die now, that kind of thing. And
Yep.
like,
You mean Adobe Flash did?
yeah, Adobe, like, because they own Flash, right? So
Right.
so it was really up to them whether they want to like, update it and like continue servicing it and make it a thing. Because
Mm.
I was watching some videos about how they bought Flash, but what happened was that because it wasn't part of their core suites, like as in, because the core suite was like Photoshop, Illustrator, and this bunch of stuff. InDesign, even InDesign was a bit of a thing, but like After Effects, these three were the main things, am I right? So these
Yep.
three always got a lot of updates and a lot of like resources pumped into it, and just to keep it a lot like new and fresh and always like up and coming and things like that, right? The stuff like Macromedia Flash and all this kind of stuff, like even things like InDesign, or even there's like this, they had an animation thing before that. Was it also Flash? I wasn't sure.
Mm.
Yeah, but basically like all of those, they didn't put in as much effort to keep it like evolving and updated and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. Dreamweaver, that's the one. Thank you. Dreamweaver and all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So all
Yep.
this, right? Like, they didn't do like throw in the resources to like keep it updated. Like the new stuff just wasn't new anymore after a while, and then eventually like nobody cared, and then when nobody cared, like Adobe just cared even less about it. Yeah.
I thought the Flash thing was because of the iPhone thing.
I
Like
think
Apple
yes.
kind of killed because they didn't want to support mobile,
Right.
like if more efficient code to so that it doesn't drain battery life on the
Right.
phones or something.
So I think that
Yeah.
that's probably part of the reason, but I feel like just saying that kind of implies that Android would never have survived, which I think is flawed. You know what I mean, right? Like Android as an OS for mobile very much exists,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm also not a technical person, but I would assume that someone who's more technical could have made Flash more optimized for the phone or any other platform, and make it less battery consume heavy, battery heavy and stuff like that. Once again, not technical enough to know. If I'm wrong, if it was always impossible, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, it's that kind of thing, right? Like, it's one of those kind of things where could it have been saved? We don't know, because the effort wasn't thrown into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, so a little bit of a thing. Okay, so once again, we've talked about microphones, headphones, and as well as implementation stuff. Is there an audio aspect that you feel that people often do not know or neglect? This is my last one, I think I want to throw at you.
An aspect that people often neglect.
I want to talk about specifically about audio for games. I think I should narrow it down. Like, not just like any audio, right? Like, it's very specifically audio for games.
Okay.
Is there an aspect about audio for games that you feel that, like, if people knew, like, people were more aware about it, the world would be a better place?
Wow. Wow. That's a big one.
At least from your perspective. At least from your perspective.
Right. Yeah. Let me think which is the biggest. I think it's still down to implementation related thing. So like, for example, writing music for games is very, 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 very big difference for writing music for film or anything else. Yeah. Like, as a I feel like a lot of games still are quite conservative with the way music is being implemented in games, even AAA.
Oh.
You know, it can be so much more dynamic. Yeah, because I mean, games is a medium that highly interactive. You know, yeah, and like I don't know, like let's say you look at games like okay, I'm just broadly saying this, like this is very popular now, like all the holdover stuff, right?
Right.
I mean, it sounds very nice. It's like wow, big orchestras, very nice music. Don't get me wrong, the music is very, very nice. Yeah, but like if you look at it as game music, you know, how it interacts to players' input, all that is not very much explored. Yeah, it's more selling. It's actually just selling the Hollywood thing in games.
Right.
Right. Yes, we have a big orchestra and very nice arrangements. It is. You know, no, it is. But I think underexplored area is like, yeah, how, you know, maybe horror games does it best because, you know, sound design and music blur lines between these two. Yeah, you know, and then in that sense, you are creating more of a soundscape and you're relying a lot on the where you are, you know, what you're experiencing, the soundscape changes, especially in horror games. Yeah. Yeah, man, I actually think other game genres can do a lot more with the music, but people always opt the easy way out. Yeah, like the most is like, oh, I move this area, we swap another music, we take out one layer, you know. Yeah, you know, yes, those have been tried. You know, vertical, horizontal, we call it. Yeah. But yeah, man, I think the implementation side of things should be explored further for sound. Yeah.
I hear you. I've always been. It's funny that you mentioned holdovers and like coming from a game designer's perspective, right? Like I've always felt like that they've always been good. Like the game experiences are pretty solid. You can argue over whatever, like whether the gacha experience is like reasonable or like whether the game falls flat, right? All that kind of stuff. I think that can be differ from person to person, and like it depends on how you see games and stuff like that. But one criticism that I personally have always had against Hoyoverse game designs in particular is always that it always felt to me that they were making console games that happen to be on the mobile, if you understand the difference. Like and to be fair to a lot of people, like people are gonna ask you, like have very reasonably questioned me, like, Jared, what do you mean by that? And the my answer to them is always very often like, if you play any Hoyoverse games, and by the way, this is, to be fair, this is a thing that not only Hoyoverse does, it's like a lot of other game companies do.
Yeah.
Not to say that they don't make great games, yeah, mind you, like they're still great games.
Absolutely.
But I feel like there's a mindset involved in making these games that sometimes like they drop the ball a little bit on. And what I'm talking about is very specifically about things, for example, about, say, for example, item management. You know, like this has always been a large critique I had with Genshin, and everything from Genshin to Star Rail to even Zenless also as well. And it's still true, by the way. It's still a problem with the entire UX for item management, right? Is optimized for your controller, meaning that if you use a controller, right, the gameplay experience is actually perfect, man. Really, you don't have any comments or complaints on it. It actually feels really good. But instead, you go into a controller or even a mouse and keyboard, the control gets a little funky. Sorry, the UX becomes a little funky. And one of the most notable ones is like, you know, when your inbox gets filled up with like equipment, and you want to clear the equipment, right? One very funny thing about the game, right, is that they don't display what the equipment is with a mouse over. In order for you to see the details of the equipment, you have to click. So when you click, right, what happens is auto select. So when you auto select, right, like means that in order to unselect, right, you need to press it again.
Okay.
Right? So you're gonna ask yourself like, oh, but this is just one click. What's the big deal, right? Can you imagine, right, when you're trying to clear your inventory, right, of like 100 different items, right? This means that in effect, right, in order to clear 100 different items, right, you have to click 200 times. And that's assuming that you click 100 times accurately, meaning that you click exactly 100 and all of them were not mistakes. Like you didn't go like, oh, this one I actually want to keep, you know? You contrast this against the controller experience. Controller experience, right, when what happens is when you in order to highlight, they actually give you a highlight. So when you highlight a object, you control the highlight, right, by using your arrow keys. And then to select, right, you press X. When you highlight, right, they show you the details of the highlighted one. So the UX exists on the controller, but it doesn't exist on your mouse and keyboard, and definitely does not exist on your phone.
What is the QA doing? Okay, then.
I don't think that this is a QA issue because so to be fair, once again, to be fair to them, right? Like you can't do this on a mobile because you can't hover, you can't hover your finger over the thing, right? So you can't do it over your mobile. You can do it on the PC. Because there's a mouse and keyboard interaction, you can do it over your PC by doing a mouse over.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they don't do it on mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, because nobody flagged the ticket. Yeah. It's probably something like that. Yeah.
And it took them, and on a related note, it took them forever to finally implement stuff like priority arrangements and flagging and all that kind of stuff, which until now it's still a bit it's still a little bit inefficient, but like it's significantly stepped forward compared to like when they first started.
Right.
Yeah. So there's some improvements, but like there's this very, very specific weird UX problem that for some reason like they have just they're just accustomed to it. And to be fair, this is a problem with all designers as well, like all game developers as well. Like we get numb to the inefficiencies of our own games because we're used to it.
Yeah.
We no longer think they are problems because they are not the problems we are worried about anymore. You know?
Yeah.
We don't think about it.
That's why the QA. Okay, anyway.
No. But you're right. This is also why QA sometimes matters, and you also have to respect when QA complains about these kind of things. And also very similarly, why sometimes, right, weird designers like me become very useful. This is a bit of a self-pitch, by the way. Flagging, because so I'll probably flag this part here. It's like parts you don't need to listen. Because like I'm one of those weirdos that can replay tutorials and self-trigger the learning prompts in my head, meaning that I can invoke the I understand now kind of feeling even when I'm replaying tutorials, which is very weird, by the way. If you ever realize when you play tutorials how it's like, because most people will once you learn something, you recognize that you learned something and you can't self-prompt the checkbox. Like even if you do a self-checkbox, it's just a checkbox. You don't get the I learned this faster or slower, you know, by comparison one. Yeah. I can't do it. I can reset myself. It's very weird.
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying actually.
Yeah.
In my own experience, right, I find most games tutorials are very bad.
It's because most people hand wave their hand tutorial because as far as they are concerned, they are like, oh yeah, it is what you need to get past.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, but for me, right, I'm very if the tutorial is bad, right, to me it might end up to me I'll just say it's a bad game because I didn't know how to play it. Correct. And then I'm very unforgiving one. I don't care. Then it's like, okay, this sucks. Correct. Unless somehow, right, in the next 5 minutes, the gameplay somehow teaches me
correct
like intuitive to learn, right? I might just drop it entirely.
And to be fair, to be fair to the entire discussion about tutorials as well, there is such a thing as being too slow, like trying to teach too much, like trying to go into too much detail, because if you pace down too slow, it gets very boring and you don't get into the action fast enough, so it can be very bad. So to be fair, everyone has slightly different tolerance for these kind of things. The question here is that do you have the people who can test for where the tolerance are and all that kind of stuff? And this is where I get very weird about it. By the way, this is a skill that's trained. I actually learned this when I was trying to teach, when I was trying to figure out how to teach my physical card game. Because what happened was that we were role playing to figure out, like we constantly had to role play how to teach the game. So when we were trying to do this, I would take on roles and like change like the level of difficulty to teach the person. So like, this person has no background in card games, and then they'll ask these kind of questions, or they'd ask that kind of questions and stuff like that. So a lot of these kind of weird like adjustments. So yeah, and gradually from that, like I learned to reset myself every time, and it's a very weird skill.
It's a good skill to have.
Undervalued.
Yes, undervalued.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, but I do want to do a quick follow up. I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to tag this in the timeline if I can. Once again, if I remember to tag in the timeline, I'm going to tag out like this is the part that you don't really have to listen to. But I do want to bring up one last thing, because you did mention just now that that about how you really wish games would explore like sound design a little bit more, and because you explicitly also mentioned that horror games do it already naturally. So my question to you then becomes, like, horror games aside, which game do you think explores sound design very interestingly? Like, do you have a game off the top of your head that specifically fulfills that criteria for you? And I don't care whether you worked on it or not. Like, as long as you have played it or you have at least heard it. Or
yeah, I know. No, thinking. Wow, man, put me in the spot. Because as you know, I mean, last few years haven't been gaming a lot because of parenthood. Yeah, but let me think. Oh, like not a horror game. Question. Awkward silence. Wow, I either have images of the game, but
that's fascinating.
Man, I can't recall. Either I can't recall, or I'm like, no, not that one, that kind of thing. Let me see.
So like,
yeah,
just a little bit of inside baseball for whoever's watching at this point, and this is partially to buy time for Jeremy to think a little bit more. Yeah, like one of the things that we do, I do for this show is, I get asked a lot about like what questions I tend to ask, and I never give them an answer, because the fact is the way I tend to frame this is always stuff that we're going to be pretty casual about, and like I want to talk about like the experiences getting to what they were doing and stuff like, because everyone I've featured has always been someone with a very unique perspective, and stuff like that. So it's always been that case. So my focus was always their stories, and it's less about the questions I want to ask, but it's more about like the stories that they are willing to tell, that kind of thing. And obviously I will always prompt and go like, hey, that sounds very interesting. I will ask, and all that kind of stuff. So
you don't rehearse any of this.
Yeah. So none of this is rehearsed, obviously, right? So
yeah.
In case a lot of the and it's like not obvious enough, right?
Yeah.
So none of this is rehearsed.
Okay, I think I remember one. That I played, which is Hellblade. Yeah.
Hellblade.
Yeah. Sonora Sacrifice. Yeah, I think that one has a lasting impression on me for their sound design.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm not sure. Maybe I played it on my 7.1 system in the studio, but that might have contributed. No, but do you play the game?
No, I did not.
Oh wow, the audio, because it has to do with schizophrenia, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you the protagonist has like voices in the head.
Right.
And it's all binaural, coming from different direction.
Okay.
Yeah, and like a lot of the UI or tutorial or whatever, or how to move forward, they built it into the voiceovers. Yeah. Of course, for accessibility, it's subtitles, but if you can actually hear, like as in, for most people who can hear with both ears, this is like some crazy. Yeah, and I mean visually it's quite killer. So a lot of the UI are built into the character itself. I really appreciate that. Rather than have like something overlaid on the on the game, and it works lah. I mean, some games tried that, but it doesn't work. Yeah, but and then so I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of games, but I just overall, I thought this game did quite a good job of that. Yeah, using sound cues and the sound design and how things flow from one level to another. Very immersive. Yellow.
I just very briefly put it on screen so that for anyone who's actually looking, just to confirm what it is. So yeah, it looks very interesting. I as a game designer, I definitely do not play enough games. But to be fair, I think asking any game designer, they'll tell you the same shit. Yeah. But yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. Yeah. So that would be something for those of you guys who are looking into wanting to explore sound engineering and stuff like that. That might be a interesting game for you to get into. Especially if you want to see what, at least in Jeremy's opinion, something that's definitely something that explores sound in games a little bit more interestingly, and it's not just a horror game. I every time I say that, every time I say stuff oh, it's just this, right, it feels very reductive. I really don't mean it that way. I just want to flag that out as a thing before anyone starts going oh, what do you mean by just a horror game? No. Plenty of respect for horror games. They're great for the genre, but it's worth recognizing that most of the time, because horror games are such ambient, sort of atmospheric games, sound is such a critical one. So any good horror game has to do sound really well, right?
Yeah.
But you cut that to, say, for example, action games or games with a lot of faster paces and stuff like that. A lot of the gameplay and all of the action drives you into the game. So, and I guess what Jeremy is getting at is also as well how much sound tends to get neglected in the process. So having a sample that's not a horror game, literally says, hey, yeah, this is how you can play with sound. It's definitely something that you might want to consider. So, all right.
Yep.
So with that, we are currently at 12:30. We have been at this for 3.5 hours. Time really flies. But to be fair, this is exactly how these kind of sessions tend to go. We're talking for a while, and next thing you know, it's the next day.
Yeah. Quite literally, yeah.
Right. So yeah. But yes, thank you very much, Jeremy, for
thanks for
sharing your stories with us and all that stuff. I guess you mentioned earlier in passing that you're teaching as well. I believe, let me just double check this, because so here's the thing, and once again, a little bit of inside baseball. I actually the stream, the details in the stream right now is it's still there. So right now, the details in the description of the stream is very specifically for Imba Interactive's Instagram and Bottomless Geeks Instagram. So if you want to see look for Jeremy and his stuff, you can find him there. Very likely if you DM him, I'm assuming 9 out of 10 times that's going to be him who's going to be responding.
Yep.
Right? So if you want to reach out for Jeremy, you can check him out there.
Okay.
Yep. But I probably need to check, simply because Jeremy, you're also teaching right now, right?
Part-time, adjunct lecturing.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just curious because it's hey, if anyone's looking for you or anything else like that, just want to know where you can find you. And
oh, you mean where I'm teaching?
Yeah. Would you want your students to come hunting you down for this?
No, if they were my students, they already know. But no, recently I've been teaching at Singapore Poly. Yeah, Singapore Polytechnic. So under their music program, they have a School of Media Art and Design, which is MAD, MAD. So I used to teach in the games program. So I teach sound to the game students. Yeah, and then now I'm teaching games to the sound students. So something like that. Yeah. So I teach a module called game audio. I mean, no surprise. Yeah, but that's where I'm teaching.
Yeah. So if you guys are interested in seeing more Jeremy's work, or just contact him in general, the links are in the description below. If you're looking for more of my stuff, like feel free to check it out as well. The links once again are also below. If you like what we're doing, like and subscribe. Standard YouTube lines. Just remember to reach out. Always lovely to hear from everyone. With that, I think that's it for us tonight. I hope to hear from tomorrow. I'll be streaming again. I'll be actually doing an unboxing stream tomorrow because
Nice.
I have Japanese play packs for Magic the Gathering, and I've been looking forward to that shit because I have the campaign booster, which is something that I think is pretty rare. It's a Japanese.
How is he like
exclusive
staring at it?
for over
How
a
is he
week,
like
right?
staring at it and then you can't open?
Yeah, I know, right? For over a week, it's been horrible. Okay. So, anyways, yeah. So I can't wait.
Really?
Tomorrow, starting at 9, we're going to do an unboxing. I'm going to be doing it with a friend, Mr. Tanuki. We're going to be talking about cards. We're gonna, if you're into Magic or into like learning more about like drafting for Magic in particular, please feel free to come and join us. Or just generally want to just check out Final Fantasy cards, and watch them like me put up on screen and shit. So yeah, please join us tomorrow. Yeah, so that's it for us tonight. Thank you very much once again. Thank you very much for joining me, for spending your time, 3.5 hours,
Thank you.
and sharing your entire story.
Thanks.
Like, if anyone has any further up questions or anything else, please feel free to reach out to either one of us or leave it in the comments below. If I can get a chance, I will extend it to Jeremy, and who knows? We'll probably try and answer you in due time.
Yep.
All right, till then, good night, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend ahead of you guys. Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Oh my god, which is my exit.